Chapter 341. Jing Zhang. What did you do to you? Ugh. Jing Zhan's words were definitely a stroke of genius. Not only was Jing Zhang dumbfounded, but even Jing Tingyi, who was about to ask questions, was dumbfounded. Jing Zhang was stunned for a long time before he said, "Father, I'm catching a thief. A thief has entered our Prime Minister's residence." Catching a thief? Second uncle, catching a thief in my room? Jing Yu looked at Jing Zhang as if she wanted to cry and said, "Let's not talk about whether this thief really exists. Second uncle just brought a group of guards and barged into my room without saying a word. Second uncle, why did you give such an order? Please don't say that these guards barged in by themselves. I'm the Prime Minister's eldest granddaughter after all. No matter what, I'm still the fiancée of the 9th Empress. If these guards didn't have your order, how would they dare to barge in? Second uncle, how did I offend you? Why are you treating me like this? You don't hesitate to use such a method to ruin my reputation? So that I won't have the face to marry the 9th Empress?" Jing Yu's questions left Jing Zhang speechless. Jing Tingyi and Jing Zhan's faces were livid. "Bastard!" Jing Tingyi angrily rebuked Jing Zhang. "Father, listen to me. It's not like that." Jing Zhang quickly opened his mouth to explain. "Grandfather, I know that second uncle must want to seek justice for second aunt. A few days ago, I told second aunt that I wanted to learn how to manage the household affairs. I originally wanted to give grandfather a surprise. It's a pity that my mother died early. That's why I returned to the Prime Minister's residence without anyone close to me. I wanted to learn how to manage the household affairs so that I could share grandfather's burden in the future. But I didn't expect that. Second aunt wouldn't teach me how to read the account books. Today, she even lets second uncle treat me like this. He made up an excuse to catch a thief and barged into my room with a group of guards. Grandfather, if granddaughter is so unlikable, I won't enter this house. I'd rather wander outside alone than not be so embarrassing." Jing Yu's words caused everyone's hearts to tighten, and Jing Zhan was on the verge of tears. Those heart-wrenching words caused Jing Zhan to fly into a rage, and he pointed at Jing Zhang and shouted angrily, "Where is my daughter? It's not your turn to bully me." Since he was so disliked, "I'll take my daughter and leave." "What nonsense are you spouting? Father, I'm really here to catch the thief." Jing Zhang quickly turned to look at Jing Tingyi and said, "Second uncle, you keep saying that you want to catch the thief. Then may I ask where the thief is? What did you lose? Can you say it?" Jing Yu looked at Jing Zhang with a burning gaze. Jing Tingyi also turned his gaze over. "I lost it." Jing Zhang's face was ashen. How could he say that he had lost the account book and the secret letter? "Second uncle, you can't be saying that this thief was discovered before he stole anything, right?" Jing Yu looked at Jing Zhang with a strange expression as she spoke. That's right. That's right." Jing Zhang was still thinking about how to answer when Jing Yu said the answer. "Grandfather, you can even make up such a terrible lie. Granddaughter is really better off dead. If I stay here like this, I'm afraid that our Prime Minister's manor will be attacked by thieves every day." Jing Yu suddenly cried and shouted, looking like she wanted to die. Chapter 342. Enough! Jing Tingyi had a headache from Jing Yu's crying. He glared at Jing Zhang and said, "This Prime Minister left the internal affairs of the manor to you to manage. It seems that I've allowed you to do whatever you want more and more. Don't worry about the shipping rights. Let Zhan take care of it. Also, since Jing Yu is back, you should teach her about internal affairs. If you still dare to have any crooked thoughts, go to the manor and reflect on yourself." When Jing Tingyi finished speaking, Jing Zhang's expression changed drastically. During this period of time, he had been dealing with many merchant ships with Jing Zhan. Originally, it was already a sure win, but now, because of tonight's incident, he had been stripped of his rights. "Father," Jing Zhang quickly said. "Shut up." Jing Tingyi flicked his sleeves and said, "All of you, go down and receive 30 strokes of the rod. If you dare to say anything about today's incident, this Prime Minister will not let you off easily." "Thank you." The guards hurriedly bowed and responded, their faces full of bitterness. Grandfather has already punished these people. This kind of thing won't happen again in the future. Are you satisfied? Jing Tingyi's gaze fell on Jingyu, who was wiping her tears, and said, "Thank you, grandfather. In the end, is still useless." After speaking, Jingyu seemed to be extremely disappointed. She bowed to Jing Tingyi and said, "I apologize for disturbing grandfather's rest. It's cold at night. Grandfather, go back and rest early." When Jing Tingyi saw Jingyu's appearance, his breathing stagnated, but he sighed helplessly. He knew that his granddaughter was deliberately distancing herself from him. However, this kind of punishment was already the maximum he could do. After all, Jingyu had just entered the family. Jing Tingyi didn't feel that they had a very close relationship. He only did this because he was giving face to Jingyu, the fiancé of the 9th emperors. If Jingyu didn't have the relationship with the 9 emperors, Jing Tingyi would definitely just casually scold her and wouldn't say anything else. However, if this situation was changed to Jingyu, it would probably be a different situation. After all, Jingyu wasn't favored. Jing Tingyi didn't feel anything strange in his heart. He just left with his people. In the blink of an eye, only Jing Zhan and Jing Lang were left in the courtyard. "I'm so tired." As soon as the person left, Jing Yu's entire body relaxed. She wiped the tears off her face in disgust. Forcing out such a small amount of tears was really killing her. Jing Yu and Jing Lang were dumbfounded as they watched the series of changes in Jing Yu's expression. Jing Zhan blankly called out, "Don't stay outside. Come in quickly." Jing Yu called the two of them into the house. Yin Xiao also looked at Jing Yu blankly. In the end, the corner of her mouth twitched helplessly. She was so moved by Jing Yu's words that she was about to cry. It turned out that the imperial concubine was all an act. "After talking so much, I'm dying of thirst." Jing Yu mumbled, "Yin Xiao, go make a pot of tea." Yin Xiao bowed and retreated. Only then did Jing Lang open his mouth to ask Jing Yu, "What's going on?" What else could it be? Jing Yu rolled her eyes and looked sideways. "Oh, look who that is." Jing Lang was slightly stunned. He turned around and saw Xiaochen tidying his clothes and walking over. Instantly, his expression changed unpredictably. He glared at Xiaochen angrily and said, "Why are you in Yu's house? What did you do to Yu?" Chapter 343. Why are you in Yu's room? What did you do to Yu? Beef. Jing Yu spat out a mouthful of tea. She looked in shock at Jing Lang, who was looking at Xiaochen with a sorrowful expression. She suddenly felt as if her brain had short-circuited. "What do you think we can do if we sleep in the same room?" Xiaochen's expression was also strange for a moment, but then he replied very calmly. "I'll kill you," Jing Lang said as he raised his fist at Xiaochen. Jing Yu swore to the heavens that this was the first time she thought Jing Lang was so adorable. She was about to die from laughter. "Big brother, don't mess around." Jing Yu quickly grabbed Jing Lang's hand and said with a smile, "Look carefully, this is the 9th emperors." "I saw it clearly. What's wrong with the 9th emperors? How can the 9th emperors do something to my sister?" Jing Lang's face turned red as he said, "It's just not okay. This is too funny. Cough, cough, cough. Big brother, he's my fiancé, and we didn't do anything, respect." Jing Yu held back her laughter and said seriously, "Fiancé, didn't do anything?" Jing Lang was slightly stunned. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and looked at Xiaochen with a strange expression. His gaze turned to Jing Yu and asked, "If he didn't do anything, why did he come out of your room?" "He's the thief that second uncle wants to catch." Jing Yu said calmly, "Cough, cough, cough." Jing Zhan, who was listening on the other side, suddenly choked and started coughing. "The 9th emperors. That thief?" Jing Zhan looked at Xiaochen with a strange expression and a trace of a smile appeared in his eyes. "It's like this. Xiaochen and I went to Jing Zhang's study to steal this thing, and then Jing Zhang shouted to catch the thief, so we came here. I used this as a pretext to make a fuss. It's what you just saw. It's that simple." Jing Yu blinked and finished speaking. She raised her hand to take the account book and threw it on the table. Account book? Jing Zhan and Jing Lang both had strange expressions. No wonder when they asked Jing Zheng to say what he lost, he couldn't say it. If he said it out loud, he'd die. I'll have to trouble Big Brother to give this account book to the old man. Jing Yu smiled as she handed it to Jing Lang and said, I guarantee that in a second, Grandfather will let Father be in charge of the family's affairs. Also, I can guarantee that Jing Zheng won't be able to retaliate, right, Xiaoqin? Xiaoqin replied faintly. What do you mean? Jing Zhan asked curiously. Xiaoqin accidentally stole the secret letter that Jing Zheng and Xiao Jingran were talking about. If this was taken out and they were charged with the crime of forming a clique for personal gain, do you think Jing Zheng will still be in charge of the family's affairs? He should be thinking about how to keep his position, Jing Yu said with a smile. Jing Zhan and Jing Lang both had smiles in their eyes. This time, Jing Zheng had taken a big tumble. However, this Jing Yu was really bold. She had only returned to the prince's mansion for a few days and she had already made such an earth-shattering event. She was not simple. You're really skilled and bold. Jing Lang said sincerely. Why didn't he think of stealing? Don't I have the 9th emperors to support me? Jing Yu smiled and said, I'll leave the rest to you guys. No problem. Jing Zhan and Jing Lang both agreed and left after chatting for a while. As they left, Jing Lang looked at Xiaoqin and said, Why aren't you leaving? Chapter 344. Shen Yuqing looked at Jing Yu running away after saying that. He was suddenly confused. Didn't you want me to go quickly? Before I could take a step, Jing Yu had already disappeared. Shen Yuqing shook his head in confusion. He didn't know what was going on with his boss. Jing Yu ignored Xiaoqin for 3 days. During these 3 days, an earth-shattering event happened in the Prime Minister's mansion. First, the Prime Minister suddenly became furious and directly took back all the rights of the matriarch from Madame May's hands. He banished the stewards of the mansion and deprived all the power of the Prime Minister's mansion of all internal affairs. When this matter came out, Jing Zheng was shocked. He wanted to go and argue with the Prime Minister, but he was scolded and sent away. Originally, this was enough to make him angry. In the imperial court, an imperial censor suddenly stood up and accused Jing Zheng of forming a clique for personal gain in front of the emperor. He disrupted the order of the imperial court and a lot of accusations were put on him, making Jing Zheng faint. Although this clique was already known in the hearts of the ministers, no one dared to say it openly. The emperor hated this kind of thing very much. Now that Jing Zheng had all the evidence, if the emperor didn't punish Jing Zheng, who would he punish? Jing Zheng had just had the idea of fighting for the rights of the matriarch, but such a big thing happened here. How could he still care about Mei Jinghe? She didn't have the time to think about it. It was more important to find a way to keep his position. Jing Yu was depressed for a long time when she heard the news. It seemed that she had underestimated the position of Jing Yu in Jing Tingyi's heart. With such an account in front of him, he only touched his wife and didn't do anything to Jing Zheng. However, there was no hurry. Jing Yu still had a backup plan. I'm thinking that this Jing Zheng can't be settled without half a month this time. I have to grasp the rights of the matriarch in grandfather's hands first. In the restaurant, Jing Yu, Fang Zicheng, and Shangguan Linglong were sitting together. Jing Yu touched her chin and said, He wants to settle it in half a month? At least a month. Fang Zicheng held his teacup and said, I will ask my father to put some pressure on Jing Zheng. Shangguan Linglong hurriedly raised his hand and said, Yeah, you're simply too amazing. How many days have you returned to the Prime Minister manor? He had caused such a huge commotion. Awesome. Shangguan Linglong smiled and held Jing Yu's hand with a look that said, I'm awesome too. It just so happens that I have time to deal with Enai Chong Garden. I'm really busy. Jing Yu muttered, Fang Zicheng, have you found the shop in the west of the city I asked you to find? I found it. It's not big, but it's enough for you, Fang Zicheng said with a smile. It's okay, I'm just opening a dessert shop. Jing Yu smiled and said, I've even thought of a name. It'll be called Come Without Money. Pif, pif, pif. In unison, they sprayed their saliva all over Jing Yu's face. Jing Yu took out the desserts income without money and set up another dessert shop. In this month, Jing Yu had been running between 3 places. The reconstruction of the mansion had already reached a stable stage, and Ni Chang Garden had also opened to attract customers. Jing Yu called forth Bro, Mao Yi, and Tang Hongyang to hold a grand performance. They even invited the girls from the Qin mansion. It had to be said that this move was simply amazing. Chapter 345. The explosive popularity of the scene startled all the young ladies and nobles. The madams looked at the dazzling array of clothes with fervent eyes. It was obvious that the publicity this time was very effective. The few sets of clothes that Tang Hongyang had prepared were all snatched up. The most interesting thing was that the madams fought over them. In the end, they spent all their money and bought the clothes at the highest price. The name of Nishang Court could be said to have been completely spread at this moment. In the end, the Grand Secretary's wife and the General's wife, these 2 important figures, showed that they had a close relationship with Nishang Court. Nishang Court could be said to have a firm foothold in the aristocratic circle. As long as there were no mistakes in the following development, they would definitely be able to have a firm foothold in the imperial city. Jing Yu arranged for Mao Yi and Su Xingting to help Tang Hongyang manage the shop in Nishang Court. The matters of Nishang Court were tossed and turned for half a month. At the same time, the snack shop in the west of the city also began to be renovated. Jing Yu was as busy as a spinning top. In the Prime Minister's residence, Jing Yu also displayed amazing management skills. After a month of observation, Jing Yu was even more considerate of the Prime Minister's residence. Mei Jinghe, on the other hand, made mistakes everywhere. In the end, it was revealed that she had embezzled money from the Prime Minister's residence and was punished by Jing Tingyi. At this moment, Xiao Chen, who had disappeared for more than 10 days, came back. Jing Yu didn't know what Xiao Chen said to Jing Yu, but the 2 of them entered the study as if they were happily chatting. After a while, they came out. Xiao Chen went to the backyard and Jing Yu's room. Yin Xiao happily served tea for the 2 of them and left. Xiao Chen, what did you say to Xiao Chen? Jing Yu blinked curiously and asked Xiao Chen. Nothing. Xiao Chen calmly drank his tea and said, Don't you want the power of the inner courtyard? I just want you to get it faster. Jing Yu was slightly embarrassed. Jing Yu and Xiao Chen walked in the back garden of the Prime Minister's residence. Yin Xiao and Xing Yi followed behind them from a distance. Jing Yu and Xiao Chen talked about the interesting things that had happened during this period of time. Their originally delicate relationship had obviously improved greatly. Just as the 2 of them were talking enthusiastically, they suddenly saw Jing Yan walking towards them from afar with a few servant girls. They were immediately stunned and stopped in their tracks. Jing Yan probably didn't expect to meet Jing Yu and the 9 emperors here. Jing Yu, Xiao Chen, you and you and you and you. Jing you and you. You, Jing you of you and you of the you. Got it. Chapter 346. Jing Yan, based on what you just said, I can get someone to flog you 10 times. Jing Yu looked coldly at Jing Yan and said, I can also blame your mother for not teaching properly and let her try. Do you want to try being a mother and learning etiquette? Do. Jing Yan glared angrily at Jing Yu. But you're right about one thing. I have the ability. If I don't have the ability, how can I beat your mother? Jing Yu smiled at Jing Yan and said, Go back and tell your mother that I can let her live a peaceful life in the Prime Minister's manor. If she angers me, she's just a rich merchant. Jing Yu didn't say anything else. She looked indifferently at Jing Yan and turned to leave. Jing Yan stood in place, trembling with anger. She ran to Mei Jinghe's courtyard and told her everything that Jing Yu had said. Mother, look at what she said. Jing Yan's face was full of anger. Don't provoke Jing Yu during this time. Mei Jinghe looked at Jing Yan with a serious expression and said, Jing Yu is not joking. Do you really think that Jing Yu can't do anything to me? I've underestimated this girl. Mother. Jing Yan stared at Mei Jinghe with wide eyes. Listen to Mother. Mei Jinghe held Jing Yan's hand and said, Right now, she is in the limelight. The higher she climbs, the harder she will fall. We need to follow her. As long as we find a point, we can beat her to the ground. So before that, you must know your place. Mother, I understand. Jing Yan nodded, not fully understanding. Right now, you only need to win the second prince's favor and perform well in front of your grandfather. If you can become a princess in the future, this is the most important thing. Mei Jinghe pursed her lips and looked at Jing Yan with a smile. In 2 months, it will be the celebration of the 20th anniversary of His Majesty's Ascension. At that time, all the countries will come to congratulate you. You have to hurry. Yes, I understand. Jing Yan's cheeks flushed when she heard this. She looked very shy. Xiao Chen's words came true. The next day, Jing Yu handed over the management of the inner courtyard to Jing Yu. All the maids, guards, and stewards were handed over to Jing Yu to manage. As the saying goes, a new broom swears the whip. Of course, Jing Yu had to start the fire. That day, Jing Yu gathered all the maidservants in the inner court together and gave them an impassioned speech. She casually found an excuse to catch a disobedient maidservant and beat her fiercely in front of everyone. She didn't stop until she saw blood. She beat the maidservant until she was half dead and half alive, her skin and flesh torn apart. Giving a sweet date after a slap was the best way to win people's hearts. Jing Yu naturally did the same. While she punished people with a cane, she counted what contributions a certain person had made to the family. The reward was more than their 1 month's salary. Now, everyone became excited. In this way, most people knew that Jing Yu was going to punish them fiercely. The confidants of the second master were almost half dead after being tortured by Jing Yu. These days are simply too good. Jing Yu sat happily with her legs crossed in the elegant room of the restaurant and drank tea. Jing Yu, Jing Yu, Jing Yu. When Jing Yu was drinking tea happily, a hurried call sounded. Before Jing Yu could react, she saw Shangguan Linglan rush into the elegant room like a gust of wind. Without saying anything, he pulled Jing Yu's hand and ran out. Chapter 347. Without another word, he grabbed Jing Yu's hand and ran out. Hey, what are you doing? Jing Yu hurriedly put down the teacup in her hand and followed Shangguan Linglan down the stairs. Something earth-shattering. The second prince and the 9th emperors are racing horses at the racecourse. Hurry and come with me. If we're late, we won't be able to see it. Shangguan Linglan quickly pushed Jing Yu into the carriage and said, Don't ask me how I know. The entire imperial city is in an uproar. Miaoqiu is already rushing to the racecourse. We have to hurry. What nonsense. Jing Yu's mind was filled with confusion. She blinked and asked, Why would the 9th emperors be racing horses with the second prince? I don't know the specifics, but it's a race. Shangguan Linglan panted and said, We'll know when we get there. It's at a small racecourse in the south of the city. Jing Yu's face was filled with confusion as she followed Shangguan Linglan to the rumored small racecourse. There were already many people surrounding the racecourse. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan tried their best to squeeze in. How was this place small? Was very big. Jing Yu helplessly looked around and saw Lu Miaoqiu waving at her from afar. She hurriedly walked over. The outer circle was filled with commoner ladies, while the inner circle was filled with nobles. Further in, she saw Xiao Chen and Xiao Jingran, each holding a horse. They seemed to be talking, but it was too far away for her to hear what they were saying. What's going on? It's too big of a scene. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan struggled to crawl to Lu Miaoqiu's side and asked as they watched the commotion below. Yeah, you're finally here. When Lu Miaoqiu saw that Jing Yu had arrived, she hurriedly grabbed Jing Yu's hand and said, I also heard from others that the 9th emperors seem to have made a bet with the second prince. The wager was you. Damn. What? Jing Yu was so shocked that she almost jumped up. To be precise, the second prince asked the emperor to take you as his consort in front of the 9th emperors. The two of them couldn't come to an agreement, and then this horse race happened. Lu Miaoqiu explained. Looking at Jing Yu, who was about to explode, she smiled gloatingly. Yeah, is so popular, what the hell? I'm a wager. Damn. Jing Yu was completely enraged. She angrily ran toward Xiao Chen. However, just as Jing Yu was about to run down, Xiao Chen and Xiao Jingran had already mounted their horses. They looked like they were about to start the race. The second prince? He wants to marry Jingyu? Shengguan Linglan was stunned for a long time before he reacted. He looked at Jingyu strangely and said, I heard from my father that the second prince has an engagement with the prime minister's daughter. Wasn't it always said to be Jing Yan? How did it become Jingyu? What? Engagement? Jingyu was stunned and looked at Shengguan Linglan in confusion. It's true. Lu Miaoqiu nodded and said, I also know about this matter. I heard that the eldest princess and the prime minister's wife casually talked about it. In the end, it wasn't official. The emperor also didn't say anything. The prime minister's daughter is worthy of the prince. That's right. In the past, Jing Yan always used this title to run to the second prince's residence. The second prince also didn't refuse. I thought Jing Yan was already set to be the princess. Shengguan Linglan said. Chapter 348. This is going to be fun. The second prince didn't choose Jing Yan as his bride. Ha! Shengguan Linglan laughed and said, let's see how arrogant she can be in front of us in the future. She's been acting all high and mighty for so many years. It's really infuriating. Hey. Jingyu tugged at Shengguan Linglan and Lu Miaoqiu and said unhappily, why do you two look so happy? I'm the one who's being proposed to. And these two men are using me as a bet. This is simply, yeah, don't worry. Lu Miaoqiu looked at Jingyu and said, you're the only one in the Tokyo kingdom that can make the imperial prince and imperial uncle fight over each other. Who cares about them fighting over each other? I'm really speechless. Jingyu's face was filled with black lines. Suddenly, she heard a burst of cheers. Only then did she realize that Xiao Chen and Xiao Jingran had already started running. The two horses rushed out as fast as lightning, and there was a burst of screams outside. Ninth Emperors, Second Prince. There was a lot of fanatical cheers. Originally, Jingyu thought that Xiao Chen already had a lot of fans. Today, she suddenly realized that Xiao Jingran also had a lot of fans. Looking at those girls who were about to faint from his handsomeness, she couldn't help but shiver. How was Xiao Jingran handsome? He couldn't even compare to a single finger of the Ninth Emperors, okay? Jingyu looked at the competition below with shining eyes. The two of them were running side by side and neither was giving way to the other. The rhythm of the competition made the fans outside very excited. Shengguan Linglan and Lu Miaoqiu were also very nervous. Xiao Chen, if you dare to lose, I won't let you off. I won't forgive you. The two horses galloped around the huge horse farm. When they got close to Jingyu, Jingyu shouted loudly. It was unknown whether Xiao Chen heard it or not. Shengguan Linglan and Lu Miaoqiu were stunned by Jingyu's bold words. What are you looking at? Jingyu rolled her eyes and continued to watch the match. Ahem. Shengguan Linglan coughed silently and exchanged glances with Lu Miaoqiu. Their eyes twinkled with amusement. In this world, only a woman like Jingyu would dare to be so unafraid of the public's gaze and do whatever she wanted. In the horse farm, the winner was determined by 3 rounds. Now that it was the second round, everyone was watching nervously. Suddenly, there was an unforeseen event. While the two were racing, Xiao Chen's horse suddenly seemed to be temporarily disobedient. Xiao Jingran was overjoyed and quickly overtook him. What's going on? Everyone's eyes were filled with confusion. Ha! The horse completely disobeyed Xiao Chen's control and suddenly became violent. While Xiao Chen was unprepared, it rushed forward crazily. Its speed was so fast that it directly bumped into Xiao Jingran's horse. Oh no! Jingyu's eyes narrowed. She leaned on the railing and watched as Xiao Chen lost control of the horse. Her eyes revealed a faint trace of anxiety. Xiao Chen's horse overtook Xiao Jingran. Xiao Jingran was hit by Xiao Chen and almost fell off his horse. The crowd outside the horse exclaimed. Xiao Jingran was also shocked. Jingyu could not bear it anymore. She held onto the railing and flipped over, running down the stairs. Give me the horse. Jingyu raised her hand and snatched the horse from the guard. Under everyone's surprised gaze, she raised her whip and chased after Xiao Chen. Chapter 349. Jingyu. Shangguan Linglan and Lu Miaoqiu were both shocked and ran down the stairs. They looked at Jingyu, who was already waving her whip and chasing after the horse. Their eyes flashed with anxiety. Jia! When Jingyu entered the scene, everyone exclaimed. Xiaoqun was forced to stop the horse. At this moment, he also realized that something was wrong. The horse that Xiaoqun was sitting on shook and jumped vigorously, as if it wanted to throw Xiaoqun off its back. It was also running. If it threw Xiaoqun off, it would definitely break his bones. Xiaoqun's face was ashen. He tried to stabilize the horse under him, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't. His strength was so great that it made the surrounding spectators sweat. Xiaoqun. Jingyu quickly came to Xiaoqun's side. She looked at Xiaoqun and shouted, Xiaoqun, let go. Xiaoqun held the reins tightly and didn't reply. Damn it. While Jingyu was chasing after the horse, the guards who were guarding the horse farm, as well as Xing 1 and Xing 2, all mounted their horses and surrounded Xiaoqun. The horse seemed to be irritated, as it raised its front hooves high and neighed on the spot. Xiaoqun was almost thrown off the horse. At this moment, the guard at the horse farm threw the rope in his hand over the horse's head. Everyone rushed forward to stop the horse, but they didn't expect the horse to be so strong. It directly shook off the 3 guards and stepped on one of the guards' wrists. Ah! A cracking sound and an earth-shattering scream were heard. That person's hand seemed to be broken. Xiaoqun, let go of the horse. Come to my horse. Jingyu's eyes turned and she swung her whip towards Xiaoqun. This action was undoubtedly dangerous. If she was hit by the crazy horse, Jingyu wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. You guys, restrain the horse's head and don't let it move. Xiaoqun, look for an opportunity to come over. Jingyu quickly gave the order, and everyone responded, swinging the ropes in their hands towards the horse's head. Jingyu drove the horse close to Xiaoqun. The moment she took control of the horse, Xiaoqun let go of the reins, kicked the horse's back hard, and spun around to sit on Jingyu's horse. Ha! The horse neighed and Jingyu shouted, hit the horse's legs. Xing Yi and Xing Er saw that Xiaoqun wasn't on the crazy horse's back. How could they hesitate? They hit the horse's legs with the rod in their hands. The crazy horse neighed in pain and knelt down. A group of guards saw the opportunity and rushed forward to hold down the rampaging horse. Are you okay? Xiaoqun and Jingyu dismounted. Jingyu quickly grabbed Xiaoqun's hand and asked, who told you to do such a dangerous thing? Xiaoqun held Jingyu's hand and looked her up and down. His face was slightly pale. Seeing that Jingyu wasn't injured, he let out a sigh of relief. When Jingyu came over, Xiaoqun was frightened. Isn't it all because of you? Jingyu glared at Xiaoqun. She looked sideways at the crazy horse that was being held down by the guards and quickly walked over. Imperial concubine, wait until we subdue it. Xing Er quickly blocked Jingyu's path. I'm fine. Jingyu shook her head at Xing Er and walked towards the crazy horse. It was being held down by dozens of guards. The crazy horse was still struggling and neighing. Jingyu's eyes flashed with a strange light. She quickly walked over and squatted down beside the crazy horse. She raised her hand and placed it on the horse's face. Miss, quickly get out of the way. This horse is crazy. We can't hold it down. A guard saw Jingyu walk over and quickly said. Chapter 350. Jingyu ignored that person and looked into the horse's eyes quietly. She closed her eyes and whispered into the horse's ear, be quiet. Hiss. The horse struggled with all its might. Jingyu's 2 simple words seemed to have a strange magical power. Under everyone's shocked and incredulous gazes, the struggling horse gradually lost its strength as though it was exhausted. What's going on? The group of guards who were pressing down on the horse with all their might felt that the horse was no longer moving. Instantly, their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Xiaoqun had just stood beside Jingyu when he saw this scene. Instantly, a look of deep thought and astonishment flashed across his eyes. You're the 9th Imperial concubine? The 9th Imperial concubine who can tame gray wolves? The guard who spoke earlier suddenly remembered. His words shocked the surrounding guards. Although it had been a long time, The incident of Jing Yu bringing 2 gray wolves into the city that day was still deeply imprinted in everyone's minds. Phew! Jing Yu slowly retracted her hand and stood up. It's fine now. How did you do it? That guard was clearly frightened. He looked at Jing Yu in horror as he asked. It's probably because I have the scent of wolves on me. That's why it's so afraid. Jing Yu didn't even blink as she casually lied. I think you should investigate why this horse suddenly went crazy. Who wants to harm the 9th Imperial concubine? This is a big matter. Yes, yes, yes. Hearing this, the guards' hearts trembled as they hurriedly agreed. The incident today had obviously shocked everyone. With such an incident, it was already impossible to determine who the winner of this competition was. They could only leave it as it was. However, the news of these 2 people fighting over Jing Yu spread. Jing Yu once again became the target of public criticism. I really admire you. Jing Yu stared at Xiao Chen angrily as she applied medicine for him and said, How dare you use me to bet with Xiao Chen? Xiao Chen's arm was a little bruised, so Jing Yu was helping Xiao Chen apply medicine in the carriage. Xing Yi and Xing Er were guarding outside the carriage. I heard it. Xiao Chen stared at Jing Yu for a long time before speaking up. Ah. Jing Yu was slightly stunned. She looked at Xiao Chen doubtfully and asked, What? You want me to win? Xiao Chen smiled and said, I heard you. Jing Yu suddenly felt embarrassed. It turned out that Xiao Chen had heard her shouting from the stands. Don't interrupt. You still haven't told me how you made a bet with Xiao Jingran. Jing Yu took a piece of gauze from the side to bandage Xiao Chen's wound and asked, Also, why did Xiao Jingran suddenly ask the emperor to marry me? This is simply too deceptive. It's very simple. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and leaned against the wall of the carriage. He said, Xiao Jingran and I have been fighting for many years, thinking of ways to defeat me. I made a bet with him because I wanted to win him fair and square. He didn't want to marry you, he wanted to marry the identity of the Prime Minister's daughter. Can't he marry Jing Yan? Why does he want to marry me? Jing Yu was stunned. Xiao Chen looked at Jing Yu as if he was looking at an idiot and said, Did you not hear what I said just now? You still don't understand. I understand. Jing Yu blinked and replied. She looked like she understood but still didn't understand, which made the corner of Xiao Chen's mouth twitch. Chapter 351. Xiao Jingran wants to defeat me. He wants to defeat me in everything, including stealing my woman. Xiao Chen pursed his lips and said, I have to say, his actions are extremely childish. However, in order to protect your identity as the 9th Imperial concubine, I naturally have to accept his challenge, right? Jing Yu raised her hand to tie a knot and said, You're even more childish. I can marry whoever I want. Your actions are simply violating my human rights. Jing Yu slammed the lid on the medicine box and glared at Xiao Chen with hidden bitterness. Haven't you thought about what would happen if you lost? Do you really want me to marry Xiao Jingran? Reality has proven that you can only be my 9th Imperial concubine. Xiao Chen looked at Jing Yu with incomparable determination. His expression was simply, You can continue to show off. Jing Yu glared at Xiao Chen with incomparable disdain. She stood up and said, I'm leaving first. Clearly, someone is targeting you. You should investigate this properly. Wait. Xiao Chen raised his hand to grab Jing Yu's hand and looked at Jing Yu with a burning gaze. What's wrong? Jing Yu paused and asked curiously, You're leaving just like that? Xiao Chen glared at Jing Yu with hidden bitterness, causing Jing Yu's hair to stand on end. She blinked and asked, If I'm not leaving, then what am I doing here? You damned woman. Xiao Chen's expression darkened. He pulled Jing Yu into his embrace and wrapped his arms around Jing Yu's waist. How long has it been since we last met? Now I suddenly regret letting you go back to the Prime Minister's residence. Cough, cough, cough. Jing Yu's face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. What nonsense are you spouting? Jing Yu glared at Xiao Chen and said, I have to go home. Otherwise, my father will be worried. Jing Yu? Xiao Chen's expression turned cold. That's it. You take care of yourself. Jing Yu quickly spoke and broke free from Xiao Chen's hand. She slipped out of the carriage and ran away quickly without even seeing Xing Er's greeting. Xing Yi and Xing Er looked at each other in confusion. When Jing Yu returned to the Prime Minister's residence, it was obvious that the residence was in an uproar. Jing Yu didn't even go to the main hall. As soon as she came back, she went to her room. Jing Yu was already prepared. She was waiting for Jing Yan to barge into her room. Then, she could use this as a pretext to scold her. Jing Yu would never be polite to those who came to her door to be scolded. But strangely, Jing Yu waited for a long time but Jing Yan didn't come. This didn't make sense. According to Jing Yan's temper, her fiancé was about to marry someone else. Wasn't she seeking death? Why wasn't there any movement? Yin Xiao. Jing Yu raised her voice and called Yin Xiao into the room. Imperial Consort. Yin Xiao obediently bowed to Jing Yu. Why can't you change the way you address me? Jing Yu rolled her eyes speechlessly. She looked at Yin Xiao and asked, why isn't there any movement from Jing Yan today? She shouldn't be so quiet about such a big matter. Imperial Consort, Second Miss has already made a fuss. Yin Xiao arched her eyebrows and said, because you haven't returned, Second Miss has almost turned the Prime Minister's residence upside down. This servant also thought that when you returned, Second Miss would definitely make a fuss. Unexpectedly, after Madame Mei came and took Second Miss away, Second Miss quieted down. HM? Mei Jinghe? Jing Yu's heart skipped a beat. She slowly frowned and said, it seems that Jing Yan listens to Mei Jinghe. Chapter 352. Imperial Concubine. Recently Second Master's place has been very quiet. It should have something to do with Madame Mei. After Second Miss came out of Madame Mei's room, she calmed down and dressed herself up before leaving. This servant has asked the driver and he said that Second Miss went to Second Prince's residence. Yin Xiao looked at Jing Yu and said, she's learned her lesson. Jing Yu clicked her tongue and sighed. This Mei Jinghe was truly worthy of being the person in charge of the inner courtyard. So many of Jing Zhang's concubines were suppressed by Mei Jinghe to the point that they couldn't raise their heads. From this matter, it could be seen that Mei Jinghe wasn't someone easy to deal with. Yin Xiao, have someone pay attention to Madame Mei's movements. If there are any problems, remember to inform me immediately. Jing Yu's eyes turned as she spoke. Yes. Yin Xiao bowed and acknowledged. The night was hazy. Jing Yu was hugging her blanket and sleeping comfortably when she suddenly heard a light sound coming from outside. Jing Yu's eyes abruptly opened. She sat up and looked over. The window was wide open and there was a black figure standing by the window, closing the window. Xiao Chen? Jing Yu was stunned. Looking at Xiao Chen who was slowly walking over, she asked with a puzzled expression, what are you doing here in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? Sleeping. Xiao Chen raised his hand and started to take off his clothes. Jing Yu was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. Why didn't you go back to the prince's residence to sleep? Why did you come here? Jing Yu looked at Xiao Chen who was about to step onto the bed and hurriedly pushed against Xiao Chen's chest in a fluster, saying, no, no. If someone finds out, it'll be bad. Quickly get down. What's there to be afraid of if they find out? I'm your fiancé. Xiao Chen grabbed Jing Yu's hand and without another word, he crawled under the blanket and pulled Jing Yu into his embrace. Aya. Jing Yu's head bumped into Xiao Chen's arm and she glared at Xiao Chen with hidden bitterness. Sleep. Xiao Chen lowered the curtains and hugged Jing Yu's soft body with a satisfied smile. He ignored Jing Yu's protests and closed his eyes. Jing Yu struggled for a long time but couldn't break free from Xiao Chen's hand. Instead, he held her even tighter. She helplessly pouted and looked at Xiao Chen, who had closed his eyes. She sighed silently and closed her eyes as well. She moved her body and found a comfortable position to continue sleeping. Jing Yu didn't know if she was already used to it or if there was some other reason, but the familiar scent on Xiao Chen's body made her feel especially at ease. She was used to a light sleeper all year round, but every time Xiao Chen was by her side, she could fall into a deep sleep so peacefully. Don't move. Jing Yu hugged Xiao Chen's waist tightly and buried her head in Xiao Chen's chest. Her small mouth was slightly open as she breathed in and out. She looked very cute. Xiao Chen was originally focused on Jingyu. However, as he stared and stared, he suddenly noticed a suspicious shiny thing at the corner of Jingyu's mouth. It looked like it was about to flow down. Xiao Chen's face darkened and he raised his hand to move Jingyu's head away. However, Jingyu hugged him tightly with dissatisfaction. Jingyu? Xiao Chen gritted his teeth and looked at Jingyu. He saw the sparkling and translucent saliva dripping down from the corner of her mouth and staining his snow-white inner garment. His skin also felt a little warm. Xiao Chen couldn't take it anymore. He pushed Jingyu's head away and quickly took off his inner garment. But what are you doing? Jingyu suddenly jumped up. She looked as if she hadn't woken up yet. She raised her hand and wiped the corner of her mouth. Jingyu suddenly jumped up and said loudly, "Xiao Chen, you actually spat at me while I was sleeping." Chapter 353. Xiao Chen, you actually spat at me while I was sleeping. Xiao Chen had just taken off his clothes and was currently half naked. When he heard Jingyu suddenly spit out such a sentence, 3 black lines clearly slid down his face. He casually threw the inner garment in his hand at Jingyu and said with a black face, "Wash the clothes, they're all covered in your saliva." "The what?" Jingyu was stunned. Looking at the obvious water stain on the inner garment, she instantly felt embarrassed. After all this fuss, it turned out that she had drooled in her sleep. Xiao Chen stepped down from the bed and raised his hand to take the clothes on the screen. Just as he was about to put them on, Yin Xiao, as usual, walked into the room with a basin for washing up. She smiled and said, "Imperial Consort, you woke up really early today." Yin Xiao stared in shock at the half-naked Xiao Chen standing in front of the screen to take the clothes. For a moment, she even forgot to react. "Put down the things and leave." Xiao Chen raised his hand to drape the clothes on his body and said indifferently, "Oh, yes, this servant will take her leave." Yin Xiao hurriedly came back to her senses and hurriedly put down the things in her hands. She respectfully left the room, her heart filled with confusion. Why would the 9th Emperors be in the Imperial Consort's room? If she didn't remember wrongly, this seemed to be the Prime Minister's residence. Yin Xiao's face was filled with confusion, but in the end, she raised her hand and slapped herself. After interacting with Jingyu for so many days, Yin Xiao was no longer as restrained as before. That was why she had boldly entered the room. Luckily, she didn't encounter anything embarrassing, otherwise Yin Xiao's face instantly flushed red as she thought of this. Just now, the 9th Emperors didn't seem to be wearing any clothes. The Imperial Consort seemed to be on the bed, wearing no clothes. Yin Xiao's eyes widened, and she hurriedly shook her head to throw out all the thoughts in her head. However, the blush on her face didn't fade. Xiao Chen had obviously flown out of the window. Yes, he had flown out. Jingyu leaned against the window and looked at Xiao Chen's elegant appearance after using his qing gong. Her face was filled with envy. The ancient qing gong was really something. Jingyu saw that Xiao Chen had left before she called Yin Xiao in to help her wash up and dress up. Once a person had been served for a long time, they would be incomparably lazy if they were made to work again. Jingyu was just like that. She had never done anything like putting on clothes and making the bed before. Now that she had someone to serve her, she would enjoy it. They're all here. In the restaurant, Jingyu looked sideways at Lu Man, Tang Hongyang, and Xin Yuqing who had arrived one after another. They were the leaders of the 3 industries. Beside Jingyu were Jing Zhan and Jing Lang. The 6 of them were gathered together in a private room. "Boss, they're all here." Xin Yuqing was the first to follow Jingyu. When he heard the question, he nodded slowly. "I called everyone here today because I have an important matter for everyone to do." Jingyu arched her brows and looked at everyone as she said, "I believe you all know who I am. This is my father, the first old master of the Prime Minister's residence, Jing Zhan. This is my elder brother, the eldest grandson of the Prime Minister's residence. I am Jingyu, the eldest granddaughter of the Prime Minister's residence, and also the fiancée of the 9th Emperors." Yes, we all know. Tang Hongyang still had some surprise in his eyes. Lu Man and the other 2 bowed to Jing Zhan and Jing Lang. the situation in the Prime Minister's residence isn't a secret. You all must have heard about it. I called you all here today because of the competition for the position of family head. Jing Yu looked at everyone and continued speaking. Chapter 354. Shen Yuqing and Lu Man looked at each other, then cupped their hands at Jing Yu and said, "Boss, if you have any orders, please don't hesitate to tell us. We will do our best to help you. This matter is very important to me. It is also the first step in my fight for the position of the head of the household for my father." Jing Yu narrowed her eyes at the three and said, "I want you to use all the resources in your hands to suppress the business of the Prime Minister's residence." What? Tang Hongyang was stunned for a moment, then frowned and said, "Boss, the Prime Minister's residence has over 100 shops of various sizes in the imperial city. Moreover, Second Master Jing Zhang's connections are so wide that we can't compare. Second Uncle Tang, have you forgotten that you are no longer the insignificant tailor from before? You are now the store manager of the famous Ni Chang court in the capital. Even the general's wife has to give you some face. I believe that with Second Uncle Tang's methods, suppressing your competitors won't be too much of a problem." Jing Yu's lips slowly curled into a smile as she said this to Tang Hongyang. Tang Hongyang had always been careful when doing things, and this attitude was on display at this moment. "Besides, I only want you to suppress the Prime Minister's residence's shops. I didn't ask him to go against him." Jing Yu raised her chin and said, "You just need to communicate more with other business partners and ignore the Prime Minister's residence. Also, you need to indirectly express your dissatisfaction with the Prime Minister's residence. I believe that everyone here is a businessman and will understand what you mean." "Boss, I think this method is feasible," Lu Man said indifferently. "If we want to talk about information, our Qin restaurant is the best place for it to spread. As long as we suppress all three businesses, I think that even if the Prime Minister's residence wants to cause trouble, they will have to think twice." "I also think it's feasible," Shen Yuqing said. "Right now, the restaurant's reputation is deeply rooted in people's hearts. Many people want a share of the profits. We can use this name to pull in more business partners. Second Uncle Tang, don't worry. We have boss." "That's right. Second Uncle Tang, your habit of being cautious hasn't changed at all. No wonder the restaurant hasn't seen its glory after more than 10 years, Lu Man said disdainfully. She looked at Tang Hongyang with a mocking gaze. They were on the same street and they were old acquaintances. It was said that when Tang Hongyang was still the second young master of the Tang family, he had an affair with Lu Man. However, now that he was old, it was thought that they would never cross paths again. Who would have thought that because of Jing Yu, the two of them would meet again? It's better to be safe than sorry. I'm doing this for the sake of the boss." Hearing Lu Man's words, Tang Hongyang's old face flushed red. He mumbled something in response, which made Jing Yu laugh out loud. "Since none of you have any objections, then go ahead and do it." Jing Yu's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled and said, "If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. No matter what, I am still the fiancé of the 9th Empress. You can rest assured and do as you wish." "Yes, we'll listen to boss." Hearing Jing Yu's words, Tang Hongyang breathed a sigh of relief. With the 9th Emperor's backing him, he had more confidence in his words. Everyone exchanged some pleasantries and dispersed, leaving only Jing Zhan and Jing Lang in the private room. Is it really okay for you to do this?" Jing Zhan raised his hand and put down the teacup in his hand. He frowned and asked Jing Yu. Chapter 355. It's fine. Jing Yu grinned and said, "We didn't steal from Jing Zheng. I want him to come to me himself." You're really ruthless," said Jing Lang, smiling. Jing Lang crossed his arms and said with a smile, "You can get people from all walks of life to suppress the Prime Minister's manor, but you can't make the Prime Minister's manor fall. However, the loss of the shop will definitely be shown. If Father brings up the matter of taking over the shop at this time, I think Second Uncle will be impatient to deliver the shop." "That's exactly what I was thinking." Jing Yu grinned and looked at Jing Lang with a grin. You have a way," said Jing Zhan, smiling indifferently. I thought that the account book would allow Grandpa to weaken second uncle's power. I didn't think that he would only take away second aunt's power. If one method doesn't work, then I'll change it. Jingyu shrugged nonchalantly and said, Father, just watch. 2 months is enough to make him flustered, not to mention at such a delicate moment in the court. All right, I'll wait, said Jingzhan, nodding slowly. Jingyu chatted with Jingzhan and the other two for a while before leaving. Jinglang went to the army while Jingzhan returned to the prince's mansion. Since Jingyu was so focused on the matters of the shop, Jingzhan naturally couldn't stay idle. He also wanted to make the situation in the imperial court as chaotic as possible. In Jingyu's book, the business of the restaurant was getting better and better. The dessert shop was also successfully separated from the restaurant. It was completely independent. Of course, the dessert shop wasn't called No Money Comes. It was called Kinyu Dian. It was a very interesting name. At that moment, Jingyu's influence became more and more obvious. She refused to buy food, sauces, rice, vegetables, and fruits from the Jing clan. The tailor's shop refused to buy cloth from the Jing clan either. She refused to buy anything from the Jing clan, as if she had a tacit agreement with the Jing clan. Every time they bought things, intentionally or unintentionally, they said that they wanted to oppress the Jing clan. The Qin Pavilion was even more ruthless. All the officials and merchants who had a good relationship with the Jing clan were refused entry. The Qin Pavilion didn't welcome the Jing clan. The whole imperial city was in an uproar. People couldn't ignore what was going on. People who used to be friends with the Jing clan were miserable. Their businesses were declining, and they were extremely worried. Until one day, a merchant couldn't take it anymore and announced that he was cutting off all relations with the Jing clan. He wouldn't deliver goods to the Jing clan anymore. Immediately, the situation changed. His business suddenly improved. People were very happy to go to the Qin clan's restaurant to listen to music. This series of changes was truly inconceivable. But now everybody understood that the Jing clan had offended a lot of people. They were determined not to let Jing Zheng live a good life. Everyone knew that Jing Zheng was the one in charge of the Jing family's shops. Now that this matter was made known, those who were friends with Jing Zheng were all complaining that they couldn't bear it. How could Jing Zheng live a good life? In just a short month, the shops in Jing Zheng's hands were already on the verge of collapse. Not only were they being suppressed by various parties, but their good friends had also cut off their supply of goods. This was going to be troublesome. Jing Zheng was so anxious that he was stomping his feet. On the other side, there was an endless struggle in the imperial court. Chapter 356. Jing Zheng complained incessantly in his heart. He could only pay for the shop from his own pocket for a while. He asked someone to check which immortal he had offended. He had been living in peace in the imperial city for more than 10 years. How could there be such a big risk suddenly? The most obvious one was Qin Lu. Therefore, Jing Zheng first investigated Qin Lu. Qin Lu was a brothel, and there were too many people coming and going. All kinds of messy information made Jing Zheng a mess. However, the person behind all of this was like a fog. Another month had passed. From April to June, Jing Zheng could be said to have spent his time in an abyss of suffering. The shop had already shown signs of loss, and there were no signs of a breakthrough or reversal. If this were to be reported to the old man, it would be a big problem. Jing Zheng was anxious. At this moment, Jing Zhan appeared very, very timely. In fact, Jing Zhan didn't say anything. He just casually asked a few questions about the shop's situation. Jing Zheng had the idea of throwing his hands away. What? Give the shop to me to manage? Jing Zhan looked at Jing Zheng with a very surprised look and said, "Second brother, when did you become so generous? Don't tell me you set a trap for me again? I don't want this shop." Jing Zhan looked at Jing Zheng with a scrutinizing gaze. Jing Zheng was happy when he heard this. He saw that Jing Zhan still didn't know about the shop's incident. "Big brother, as you know, I've been taking care of the shop for so many years and it's really too tiring. Moreover, there have been too many matters in the imperial court recently. Big brother, please help me and take over this shop." Jing Zheng quickly said, "Others may believe you, but I don't." Jing Zhan snorted and said, "You are not fooling me. When the time comes, give me a dozen shops. I don't have the mind to take care of a few broken shops. You should manage it yourself. Jing Zhan raised his hand and rolled his wheelchair to leave. Jing Zheng quickly stepped forward and pulled Jing Zhan's wheelchair. He had already said this. No matter what, he would give up the shop. How could Jing Zheng let Jing Zhan go? Big brother, don't go. Jing Zheng looked at Jing Zhan seriously and said, how can I only give you a dozen shops? Isn't this a joke? Are you going to give me all the shops in your hands? Jing Zhan looked at Jing Zheng suspiciously and said, no way. Second younger brother, tell big brother. Did you do something incredible? Or did something happen to the shop? No. How is that possible? Jing Zheng laughed and said, I really don't have time to care. If you give me all the shops, it would be a little more presentable. Jing Zhan seemed to be weighing the pros and cons as he murmured. Then he frowned and said, forget it, I haven't taken care of the shops for a long time. I don't want it. Second brother, just let your subordinates take care of it. It's not a big deal. After saying that, Jing Zhan waved his hand, a look of disinterest on his face. Big brother. Jing Zheng hurriedly pulled Jing Zhan and said, we are all blood brothers. I will give this shop to you. Big brother, please help me. You're really giving it all to me? There was still some disbelief in Jing Zhan's eyes. That scrutinizing look made Jing Zheng very anxious. He was afraid that Jing Zhan would find out that he had lost money. Without another word, he took out the store transfer certificate hidden in his sleeve. Chapter 357. Big brother, take a look. I've already written the transfer agreement. I'm just waiting for Big brother to put your thumbprint on it. How can it be fake? Jing Zheng said as he placed the transfer agreement in front of Jing Zhan. It's indeed a transfer of property rights. Jing Zhan looked at it seriously, then hesitated. He still looked at Jing Zheng in disbelief and said, you're really giving it to me just like that? I say, second brother, did you do something to the shop? I'll give it to you, I'll give it to you. Jing Zheng felt guilty under Jing Zhan's gaze. Without saying anything, he grabbed Jing Zhan's hand and pressed it on the transfer agreement. He quickly put his thumbprint on it and said, Big brother, look. It's confirmed now. This shop is yours in the future, Big brother. Jing Zhan looked at the transfer agreement with his thumbprint on it with a dumbfounded expression. In the end, he stared at Jing Zheng helplessly. Boo! Jing Zheng silently wiped off his cold sweat. He finally threw this thing away. It was really scary when he held it in his hand. Jing Zheng looked at Jing Zhan's stunned expression and showed a very sincere expression for the first time. He looked at Jing Zhan and said, Big brother, this shop will depend on you in the future. It could be said that Jing Zheng felt incomparably comfortable when he said this. In the future, the loss of this shop will have nothing to do with me. Who knows, I might even use this matter to complain to the old man about Jing Zhan. Thinking of this, Jing Zheng's face suddenly bloomed with a smile. He casually found an excuse and ran away. When Jing Lang came back, he saw Jing Zheng go out with a smile on his face. Immediately, his face was full of doubts. He stepped into the hall and saw his father's sneaky smile. He was even more puzzled. Dad, what happened? Jing Lang asked puzzledly. The shop is in our hands. Jing Zhan pointed at the paper on the table and said, Really? How many do you have? Jing Lang's eyes lit up. He strode forward and picked up the paper on the table and asked. All of them. Jing Zhan pretended to be calm as he picked up the teacup on the table and took a sip. Jing Lang's eyes widened when he heard that. What? That voice was so loud that Jing Zhan's hand that was holding the teacup trembled. Why are you shouting so loudly? How old are you? Jing Zhan glared at Jing Lang. He proudly put down the teacup in his hand and said, Your old man is just playing hard to get. Isn't it easy to get this shop? Jing Lang's face darkened as he looked at Jing Zhan. He quietly said, This is all thanks to you, Wu. My daughter's contribution is mine. Jing Zhan's face was full of smiles as he hummed a tune and rolled his wheelchair out. Jing Lang face-bombed. Why did he feel that his father's style was a little off recently? Brat, what are you standing there for? Hurry up and help me cross the threshold. While Jing Lang was holding his forehead, Jing Zhan shouted. It turned out that the wheelchair was stuck at the door and could not cross the threshold. Yes, yes, yes. I'm coming. Jing Lang strode over and moved the wheelchair, pushing Jing Zhan far away. The news of the Prime Minister's shop being sold spread throughout the imperial city that day. For a moment, those who knew the inside story sneered at Jing Zheng. When he was making money, he didn't let go of the shop. Now that he was losing money, he quickly threw it out. Although this action could be said to be human nature, they were still blood brothers. For Jing Zhan to suffer such a loss, everyone felt that it was unfair for Jing Zhan. Chapter 358. Jing Zhan did not disappoint everyone. As expected, when he found out about the shop, he angrily went to find Jing Zheng to reason with him. In the end, he was sent away by Jing Zheng saying that the shop had already been transferred to him and that it was his business. Jing Zhan was very angry. It was said that he smashed everything in the shop and even said that he would rebuild the shop. This made Jing Zheng so angry that he died. Obviously, everyone thought that Jing Zhan was just saying these words out of anger. Jing Zheng naturally thought so too. The shop was already in such a state. How could he rebuild it? It would already be good if it could be restored to its original state. Jing Zheng happily watched the show. He felt a burst of joy in his heart. Fortunately, he threw everything away and did not leave anything behind. Jing Zheng was very happy. When Jing Yu heard the news, she also laughed. She did not expect Jing Zhan to be so good at acting. His acting was really good. While the imperial city was in turmoil, the Tokyo festival also arrived. Xiao Yi had ascended the throne for a full 20 years. There was a celebration every 10 years. This year was the second 10 years, so it was 20 years. The celebration also happened to be Xiao Ye's 40th birthday. It was a double happy occasion. Envoys from various countries came to the Tokyo to congratulate him. There was still half a month before the celebration, but the princes and princesses of various countries were already on their way. Tokyo was located in the east of the continent. It was the head of the 4 countries. The small countries on the periphery were almost negligible. The world was divided into 4 major countries: Tokyo, Cebu, Nenli, and Northern Pastoral. Tokyo was the head, followed by Cebu, Nenli, and Northern Pastoral. This was the ranking 10 years ago. Now, another 10 years had passed. How had the countries developed in the past 10 years? This time, there would be another ranking for the celebration. Would Tokyo still be in first place? There was still half a month left. The Tokyo capital was already bustling with activity. The general's manor had also started to move. The ruffians in the imperial city had become more well-behaved during this time. If they were caught, they wouldn't even have the chance to go through the back door. Once they were caught, they would be locked up in the dungeon for at least 3 to 4 months before they were released. As for those ruffians who had committed evil deeds, they would be beheaded after the celebration. Even the interrogation procedures could be ignored. With such precedents, these people didn't dare to be disobedient. For a moment, the imperial city was quiet and looked like a country of etiquette. In order to welcome the arrival of such a big event, Jing Yu was also thinking of ways to make money. He might even be able to use this opportunity to bring the name of these restaurants out of the country. Wouldn't the matter of spreading all over the world be realized soon? Thinking of this, how could Jing Yu not be excited? How could she not be interested? Therefore, these days, Jing Yu was almost everywhere. One side was teaching people how to make new desserts, the other side was teaching people how to make a different kind of clothing. It was worth mentioning that Lu Man sent 2 talents to her. The 2 girls were sisters. Because they were really desperate, they heard that the women in the Qin brothel could make their own decisions. They only sold their skills and not their bodies. Therefore, the 2 girls went to find Lu Man unexpectedly. After a conversation, Lu Man discovered that the 2 sisters were actually Taylor's daughters. She immediately thought of Jing Yu's Chang court. Therefore, she asked someone to bring the 2 sisters to Jing Yu and let Jing Yu make her own decision. You know how to make clothes? In the backyard of Chang court, Jing Yu looked at the 2 twins standing in front of her and was stunned. The 2 of them looked exactly the same. Chapter 359. Jing Yu looked at the twins standing in front of her and was stunned. These two looked exactly the same. That is, the two bowed. Their expressions and actions were exactly the same. Jing Yu was slightly dazed. She looked at the two and asked, "What are your names? Who is the older sister and who is the younger sister?" Servant Yao Rong is the older sister. Servant Yao Yu is the younger sister. You are the older sister, you are the younger sister. Jing Yu nodded and said, "I heard Big Sister Man say that you used to be the daughters of tailors. Then do you know how to make clothes?" "Boss, we are embroiders. We know how to embroider and do needlework, but there are too many processes for tailoring. We don't know everything." Yao Rong bit her lips and said, "Boss, as long as we have food to eat, we can work. We can learn what we don't know." "Embroiders?" Jing Yu's eyes turned slightly and a smile appeared on her lips as she said, "Compared to making clothes, I have more important things for you to learn." Yao Rong and Yao Yu looked at each other, their eyes filled with doubt. Jing Yu smiled at the two of them and said, "But before that, you have to help second Uncle Tang in this shop. Consider it as a test of your abilities." "Thank you, boss." Yao Rong and Yao Yu's eyes lit up when they heard this and they hurriedly bowed in thanks. After Jing Yu returned to the Prime Minister's residence, she rummaged through the cabinets for pen and paper. Yin Xiao once again got some charcoal for Jing Yu. She looked at Jing Yu lying on the table and drawing with a face full of confusion. "Imperial concubine, what are you drawing two balls for?" Yin Xiao looked at the things slowly forming on the paper and asked in confusion. "You don't know this, do you? This thing is called a bra." Jing Yu proudly said, "No, it's called a bra." "What?" Yin Xiao was slightly dazed. Why did she have a strange feeling that it was better for her not to know what they were going to talk about? As expected, Jing Yu patiently explained the use of the bra to Yin Xiao with the intention of letting her learn. "It's worn on the chest. It's mainly used to adjust the shape of the chest so that it won't sag. It can make the chest more perky. Even more perky." "Don't go. I haven't finished speaking yet." Yin Xiao Yao's face was red as she rushed out of the room as if she was fleeing. What happened? Just as Jing Lang was about to step into the house, he saw Yin Xiao rushing out. He was instantly stunned and asked doubtfully, Empress Consort is in the room." Yin Xiao took a quick glance at Jing Lang. She lowered her head so much that she wanted to bury it in her clothes. Then, without waiting for Jing Lang to react, she ran off. Yin Xiao's face felt like it was on fire. Thinking about what Jing Yu said just now, she instantly became even more embarrassed. How could a young lady talk about this kind of thing so openly, and even say it in such a— Yin Xiao hurriedly ran back to her own room and quickly washed her face. After she calmed down, she couldn't help but think about what Jing Yu said just now. Could make the chest more perky and perky. Is it true? As Yin Xiao thought about this, she lowered her head and looked at her chest. A faint blush appeared on her cheeks. Jing Yu looked at Yin Xiao, who ran out and could only silently say that the thinking of the ancient times was really futile. She was just saying it. She hadn't even taken off her clothes to teach her how to wear it, and she was already like this. It seemed that if this bra was really made, what if no one dared to wear it? Everyone was so shy. Chapter 360. Each and every one of them was so shy. Thinking of this, Jing Yu suddenly felt conflicted. It looked like she had to think of a way to get the best of both worlds. "Yue, what are you thinking about?" Jing Lang strode over and asked Jing Yu, who was deep in thought. "Nothing." Jing Yu neatly covered the things on the table. She looked at Jing Lang with a smile and asked, "Big brother, why are you here? Do you need something from me?" Father said that he wanted to bring you along to the celebration banquet this time. However, he thought that you didn't seem to have any suitable clothes, so he had me come over to inform you. There are still 10 or so days, so you have to hurry and prepare. Otherwise, you won't be able to make it in time. Jing Lang turned to look at Jing Yu and pursed his lips as he spoke. "Bring me along?" Jing Yu was slightly dazed. She looked at Jing Lang in confusion and asked, "You're going to the palace again?" The entire country is celebrating. The officials are allowed to bring their families into the palace to attend the banquet. You are the Prime Minister's legitimate granddaughter and the fiancée of the 9 emperors. Naturally, you have to go. Jing Lang nodded in all seriousness. Heavens! Jing Yu looked up at the sky, speechless. She silently looked at Jing Lang and said, "Can I not go? Let Jing Yen go." Nonsense. Jing Lang glared at Jing Yu and said, "Entering the palace is such a good opportunity. You actually gave it to Jing Yen. If father knew about this, he would definitely beat you up." Cough cough. I was just saying. Jing Yu silently pursed her lips. All right, you should prepare well. As Jing Lang spoke, he stood up and was about to leave. Then, as if he had thought of something, he paused and said, "Tell the people in the restaurant to be careful these few days. The princes and princesses of the other countries are coming. They must not offend them." Got it? Jing Yu replied weakly. Looking at Jing Yu's appearance, Jing Lang helplessly shook his head and turned to leave. These few days, the imperial city could be said to be incomparably lively. Jing Yu was in an obedient mood and did not even go out of the Prime Minister's residence. As for Xiao Chen, he was probably addicted to being a gentleman on the beam. Every night, he would climb into the room through the window and openly hug Jing Yu to sleep. Jing Yu had been doing nothing for 5 whole days. All she did was eat and sleep and eat, and then bury her head in drawing that bra. Every time Yin Xiao came in and saw it, her face would turn red, and Jing Yu would have a discussion with Yin Xiao every time. After a long time, and the number of times they spoke increased, Yin Xiao also became calm. Later on, she could even say a few sentences occasionally. One had to admit that this person's ability to adapt was really admirable. Finally, I'm satisfied with the drawing. Jing Yu held a stack of various bra designs. On it, there were descriptions of the various fabrics, and even the advertising slogans were written. For 5 whole days, Jing Yu had been fiddling with these things. Today, Jing Yu, who had been cooped up in the Prime Minister's residence for so long, was going to go out. After not going out for 5 days, Jing Yu was dumbfounded when she saw so many people suddenly appear on the streets. These people obviously did not live in the imperial city. They must have heard the news and came from outside the imperial city. There were also the ministers at the border who came in response to the celebration. A gathering of handsome men and beautiful women. Jing Yu stared as she walked on the streets. Looking at the people coming and going, all of them were extraordinarily handsome. Could it be that this ancient era was full of beauties? So ugly that I can't bear to look at them. Jing Yu's eyes turned and saw the men and women with crooked mouths and slanted noses. She silently turned her head. Handsome men and beautiful women were more pleasing to the eye. Chapter 361. Jing Yu's restaurant was filled with customers every day. As soon as Jing Yu entered the restaurant, she could hear Shen Yuqing talking excitedly in her ear. He was talking about the income for the past few days. Jing Yu's restaurant was so famous that many outsiders naturally came to visit. Can't sit. Jing Yu stared at Shen Yuqing and said, "Can't sit? Isn't that simple? Go and enclose the entire area outside the restaurant. Build a shed or something and set up tables and chairs. You can sit as many people as you want." This. Shen Yuqing was stunned and looked at Jing Yu speechlessly. "Just do as I say. Why would you care about where you sit if you want to eat?" Jing Yu said as she waved her hand indifferently. "Yes." Shen Yuqing replied silently. Sure enough, he followed Jing Yu's instructions and encircled the entire open space outside the restaurant. Clanking sounds could be heard as he built a simple shed. Just like that, he set up tables and chairs. At the same time, he also gave a discount. Those who sat outside would have a discount and could save money. Once such a strategy was put out, it was indeed effective. Those who were not very rich were willing to choose to work outside. Who wouldn't want to save money if they could? Jing Yu saw that the restaurant was empty and went to Anai Chang Court. In the courtyard, Tang Hongyang had been looking forward to Jing Yu's arrival. When he saw Jing Yu, his eyes curved into crescents. Jing Yu angrily threw the design blueprint into Tang Hongyang's hands. This person wasn't looking forward to Jing Yu. He was looking forward to Jing Yu's design blueprint. "How are the Yao sisters doing here?" In the backyard, Jingyu took a sip of tea and asked faintly. Good. Tang Hongyang's face was full of joy as he said, "This Yao Rong is really capable. She's good at accounting and management. Her younger sister, Yao Yu, is very skilled. She's good at communicating with people. Look, it's only been a few days, but the people in the restaurant are full of praise for these two sisters." Not bad, not bad. Jingyu nodded and said, "Then do you think these two can be of great use?" Tang Hongyang was slightly taken aback when he heard this. He immediately thought about it carefully. He naturally understood the meaning behind Jingyu's words. Jingyu was obviously asking if these two people were trustworthy and if their hearts were upright. It would be over if they were spies sent by someone else. "Boss, I can't guarantee this." Tang Hongyang deliberated for a moment and said, "I think that these two sisters aren't people with bad intentions. However, we haven't known each other for a long time, so I can't be too sure. However, if you're in a hurry to find someone, I think we can give it a try." Jingyu's eyes turned slightly, and then she slowly smiled and said, "Okay, I'll listen to you. We'll know once we give it a try." Jingyu immediately called the two sisters to the backyard and sent Tang Hongyang out. The three of them talked in the house for a full 4 hours before the door was opened. Tang Hongyang was very curious. He looked at the Yao sisters' faces, which were slightly flushed, but their eyes were bright. He was very curious and wanted to find out what they were talking about. However, he didn't expect that the two of them would keep quiet. After that, the Yao sisters got busy. Jingyu generously gave them a sum of money and told them to buy a shop as soon as possible. Chapter 362. The shop's name was Beauty That Could Topple a Nation. Such a beautiful name made Tang Hongyang even more curious. He really didn't know what Jingyu wanted the two sisters to do. Yao Rong was in charge of the shop, and Yao Yu was her helper. Jingyu also called the fifth brother, Peng Inkai, to help the Yao sisters. Yao Rong was truly capable. She wasn't careless when it came to handling matters. She wasn't familiar with the imperial city, so she went to look for Lu Man and Tang Hongyang. Jingyu watched for a day and immediately felt relieved. Yao Rong would definitely be able to take care of everything. Jingyu had just returned from visiting Yao Rong. When she arrived at the entrance of the restaurant, she was surprised to find that there were suddenly so many people at the entrance. It seemed like there was a disturbance. Jingyu lifted the curtain to take a look. Her heart trembled. Could it be that someone came to the restaurant to cause trouble again? Logically speaking, this shouldn't be possible. After all, this restaurant had the reputation of being the 9th emperor's. Who would be so blind as to cause trouble here? Jingyu frowned and jumped off the carriage. She squeezed into the crowd. As soon as she squeezed into the crowd, she heard a commotion. She saw a large group of people at the entrance of the restaurant. They were all wearing the uniform of guards. The person standing at the front was a man and a woman. They were both wearing luxurious clothes and had the aura of nobility. Jingyu stared at the two people for a long time, but she didn't recognize them. Jingyu had lived in the imperial city for at least a year and a half. She had seen many nobles in the imperial city, but she didn't have any impression of these two people. Moreover, these two people had such an aura and were definitely not ordinary. After thinking for a while, Jingyu came to a conclusion. These two were either young masters and young mistresses from the Tokyo country, or they were princes and princesses from another country. It was obvious that people from the Tokyo country wouldn't be able to disregard the prestige of the 9th emperors and cause trouble at the restaurant. Therefore, these two people could only be princes and princesses from another country. Immediately apologized to this young lady. The woman was dressed in a bright purple robe. Her beautiful face was filled with arrogance and disdain, and her eyes were filled with anger. She glared at the man in white in front of her and shouted with a haughty look, "Miss, you should be the one apologizing to me. You were the one who bumped into him, not me." The man who spoke was dressed in a crescent-white robe. His face was clear and handsome, giving people a feeling of being bathed in the spring breeze. The faint smile on his lips was also very elegant. The way he spoke was extraordinary. It was obvious that he was not an ordinary person, but he was dressed in a plain white robe. "It's fine if you don't give way when I walk in, but you actually bump into me." The woman sneered as she stared at the man and said, "If you kneel down and kowtow to this young miss 3 times, I wouldn't care about it. I didn't expect you to actually dare to ask me to apologize. How dare you?" The man glared and said, "The door is so big, and you brought your people to occupy the entire path. This one was just looking for a gap to walk out, but you pushed me back. How is it that I bumped into you?" The man had an unbearable expression as his handsome face turned red. "I said it was you who bumped into me. It was you who bumped into me." The woman didn't say anything else. She raised her hand and shouted, "Men, tie him up. Cut off one of his hands as an apology to this young miss. Shall you?" Just as the guards were about to go up, the man who had been standing quietly beside the woman said, "This is the Tokyo country, don't be naughty." Chapter 363. This is the Tokyo's territory after all. Don't be naughty. Then cut off one of your fingers. The woman called Xiao Yu seemed to be a little afraid of the man beside her. She frowned slightly and loosened her grip. The man raised his eyebrows slightly but didn't say anything. The guards immediately went forward to grab the man in white. Do you have any respect for the law?" Let me go." The man's face turned red. He wanted to struggle, but he didn't have the strength to truss up a chicken. How could he be a match for the guards? He was quickly caught. The woman in luxurious clothes sneered and was about to walk towards the man in white. "Stop." The crowd sighed as they watched, but no one stepped forward to stop them. That was until a clear shout rang out. The crowd slowly opened up a path for Jingyu to walk over with light steps. Her gaze swept across the crowd as she pondered. Jingyu sized up the other party, but they were also sizing up Jingyu. Jingyu's petite figure stood in front of everyone. Her eyes were bright without any ripples, and there was a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. Although her robe was simple, it definitely didn't look like something an ordinary person could afford to wear. The woman in luxurious clothes was interrupted by Jingyu and was very unhappy. She frowned slightly and stared at Jingyu. "I'm the manager of this restaurant." Jingyu's eyes curved slightly as she looked at the 2 people in front of her and said, "I wonder which country you 2 are from? Why didn't you rest at the embassy when you came to the Tokyo?" The moment Jingyu spoke, the surrounding crowd widened their eyes in shock. Their eyes were like searchlights shining on the 2 people. The woman also widened her eyes in shock. She stared at Jingyu and said, "How do you know we're not from the Tokyo? Looks like they really are the prince and princess of another country." As soon as the woman finished speaking, Jingyu suddenly let out a sigh of relief and said, "I was just randomly guessing. I didn't expect that I would be right. Since the 2 of you are here as guests, then this matter will be much easier." The woman was furious. Just as she was about to flare up, she was pulled back by the man beside her. "Did you just say that you are the manager of this restaurant?" The man narrowed his eyes as he looked at Jingyu. His eyes were filled with scrutiny. His eagle-like eyes stared at Jingyu, making Jingyu's hair stand on end. "Is there something wrong?" Jingyu covered her mouth and smiled. "You 2 must be Nanli's Crown Prince Mu Qinghua and Princess Mu Xiaoye, right? Why do you say that?" The man narrowed his eyes and looked at Jingyu with interest. "It's very simple. Your Highness, the jade pendant hanging on your waist is from Nanli's royal family. Coincidentally, I saw a portrait of this jade pendant a few days ago, so..." Jingyu smiled. Jingyu didn't say anything else, but everyone knew. "I see." Mu Qinghua looked down at the jade pendant hanging on his waist and said faintly, "It's good that you know that we are from Nanli." Mu Xiaoye proudly raised her chin and said, "That man behind you, he was the one who offended this princess. Your Highness, the celebration is approaching. It's not good to see blood. This would be disrespectful to the Tokyo Emperor. Please forgive me for not being able to comply." Jingyu smiled faintly and said, "If your Highness insists, then please allow me to pass on this matter to the 9 emperors. After all, the 9 emperors are very fond of this restaurant." Chapter 364. Jing Yu lied through her teeth. Anyway, she was just making things up. Xiaochen didn't say that he didn't like this restaurant. The ninth emperor's? Mu Xiaoya's eyes widened slightly. You mean the ninth emperor's, Xiaochen? In this Tokyo imperial city, who dares to be called the ninth emperor's? Jing Yu didn't answer her question. Mu Xiaoya's expression suddenly became strange. Forget it. Mu Xiaoya hesitated for a long time. In the end, she curled her lips and said, "Cough, cough. Since you came forward to plead for leniency, this princess will be merciful and not bicker with him. But if you see this princess in the future, you must make a detour. Otherwise, the next time I see you, this princess won't let you go." Interesting. Mu Qinghua's eyes circled around Jing Yu. In the end, she left with her people. The crowd of onlookers dispersed. This farce became a joke in the streets. The incident between the ninth emperors and the restaurant spread like wildfire. Phew. Really? Jing Yu's face fell when she saw that everyone had left. She laughed so hard that her face almost froze. Okay? Bullies. The man in white looked at the people walking away. His handsome face was flushed red. In the end, he threw out these 4 words indignantly. Jing Yu, who had just let out a sigh of relief, was instantly displeased. Since you know that they are bullying, you shouldn't have confronted them. I'm speechless. Jing Yu rolled her eyes and turned to go upstairs. Miss, what do you mean by that? Are you going to let them bully you? When the man in white heard Jing Yu's words, he immediately widened his eyes and raised his hand to block Jing Yu's path with a look that said, "I want to teach you a lesson." "What are you doing? Did I say something wrong?" Jing Yu glared at the man and said, "What's there to bully? Wasn't it just lowering his head and giving way? What's the big deal? You don't have any power or influence, yet you still want to step up?" Was he especially pleased with himself in his heart? A real man should be indomitable. How could he be bullied? In any case, you only have one life. You can just give it to someone else. Is that what you think? Jing Yu said it in a strange tone. The man's face turned red and he couldn't say a word. "What? Are you unhappy that you didn't die? Do you want me to give you a ride?" Jing Yu sneered and said, "It's over. After he died, you also became famous. There was a rumor on the streets that a scholar was killed because he didn't give way to a prince or a princess. They just laughed it off. What about you? Oh, he's dead. I'm really speechless. There are actually people who have such thoughts." Jing Yu's face was full of disdain. She looked at the man indifferently and turned to leave without looking back. The man's face turned red from Jing Yu's words. He held his breath and couldn't go up or down. He watched as Jing Yu went up the stairs. In the end, he unhappily flung his sleeves and left without looking back. His heart was full of anger. Finally, after walking for a while, the man suddenly stopped in his tracks. He thought for a while and frowned. Then he turned around and went back. "Boss." Shen Yuqing was about to speak to Jing Yu but was interrupted by Jing Yu. "Go to the door and tell that man to go back to where he came from. This lady has no time to deal with him." Jing Yu raised her hand and took a big gulp of tea as she spoke to Shen Yuqing. "Boss, are you talking about that scholar?" Shen Yuqing was slightly stunned and asked. Chapter 365. Jing Yu nodded calmly. Shen Yuqing went downstairs in confusion. Didn't he just see the scholar leave in a huff? Why did the boss say that he would return? Shen Yuqing walked to the door with a face full of questions. Just as he stood at the door, he saw the scholar who had just left walking back in a hurry. Hey. Shen Yuqing saw that the scholar was about to barge in without another word. Shen Yuqing quickly blocked his path. "Shopkeeper, I want to see your manager." The man looked at Shen Yuqing and recognized him as the boss of the restaurant. He immediately bowed politely. "Really?" Shen Yuqing stared at him and said, "Our manager isn't free. Go back to where you came from." "Nonsense, she was just here." The man glared and said, "Don't block me. Let me talk to her for a while and I'll leave." The man said as he walked around Shen Yuqing. Shen Yuqing didn't give him the chance. He quickly blocked him and said, "Our manager has already left." Left? So fast? The man was slightly stunned. Then he frowned and muttered, "She saved my life, but she didn't want me to thank her. She even purposely angered me. Such a woman is really... No, I must find her." Shen Yuqing heard the man's muttering and his eyes widened in shock. He almost laughed out loud. "Manager, when will your stewards come to the restaurant?" The man looked at Shen Yuqing and asked with a look of curiosity. Cough cough. This. Shen Yuqing held back his laughter and said, "The manager has always been elusive. Sometimes he comes once every 2 or 3 days. Sometimes he comes once every 1 or 2 months. There are even times when you don't see him for half a year. You better not wait." So casual? He's indeed a man of the pugilistic world. The man was stunned at first. Then, he said something that almost made Shen Yuqing spit out. A man of the pugilistic world. A man. The boss has become a man. It's okay. I'll wait for as long as it takes. The man grabbed Shen Yuqing's hand and said, "I'll come every day in the future. Please keep an eye out for me. If your manager comes, you must send someone to inform me." Cough cough cough. Shen Yuqing agreed and said, "Where can I inform you?" "I haven't found my friend. I'll go look for her now. I'll tell you tomorrow." As the man spoke, he suddenly seemed to have thought of something important. He patted his head in annoyance, bowed to Shen Yuqing, and left with a puzzled expression. Where? The imperial city was really messy. Anyone they met could be a prince of another country. Jing Yu pursed her lips. She thought that it would be better not to run around during this period of time. At the same time, she ordered her subordinates to behave. Just as Jing Yu was about to return to the residence, she saw Xing Er dismounting from his horse and striding towards her. Chapter 366. Imperial Consort. Xing Er bowed slightly to Jing Yu and said, "Master wants Imperial Consort to go to the residence tomorrow. He has something to discuss with Imperial Consort." Tomorrow? Jing Yu frowned in confusion and asked Xing Er what it was about. Xing Er didn't know anything. Jing Yu had no choice but to agree. After returning to the Prime Minister's residence, Jing Yu had been running all over the place. She hadn't been back to the prince's residence for a few months. Now that she was back all of a sudden, there was a sense of nostalgia. Second Xing was already waiting at the door and he led Jing Yu to the lotus garden. Ayaya, the lotus flowers have grown again. Jing Yu gazed at the lotus flowers in the lotus garden. Her eyes were filled with nostalgia. "If you like it, you can come back and stay." Just as Jing Yu was admiring the flowers, a familiar voice came from behind her. Jing Yu turned around and saw Xiao Chen standing on the stairs with his hands behind his back. His expression was indifferent and his figure was slender. His pitch-black eyes were filled with gentleness as he looked at Jing Yu. "Xiao Chen." Jing Yu ran over happily. She looked up at Xiao Chen and asked, "When did you stand behind me?" "Just now." Xiao Chen looked down at Jing Yu's bright cheeks. The corners of his mouth curled up as he replied, "That's strange. I didn't feel it at all." Jing Yu pursed her lips. "Why did you call me to the residence?" "Come with me to the celebration banquet the day after tomorrow." Xiao Chen walked down the stairs and naturally took Jing Yu's hand. He walked towards the pavilion and spoke to Jing Yu calmly. Jing Yu paused for a moment, then furrowed her brows and said, "No, Big Brother said that I have to go with Father, and I have to go as the granddaughter of the Prime Minister. I can't be in 2 places, no." Xiao Chen's face darkened, and he frowned. "Isn't it just going to a banquet?" Jing Yu curled her lips and said, "It doesn't matter who you go with, it doesn't matter." Xiao Chen continued to frown. "How about, I follow this father into the palace, and when it's time to leave, I'll leave with you?" Jing Yu said with a frown. "Do you want to come back to the prince's mansion with me?" Xiao Chen's hand paused as he narrowed his eyes at Jing Yu. "I'll stay for 1 night." Jing Yu said as she stretched out 1 finger. Xiao Chen's face darkened and he said coldly, 1 month. "Ah? 1 month is too long, how about half a month?" Jing Yu bit her lips and asked tentatively. Deal. Xiao Chen reached out and grabbed Jing Yu's small hand, and a faint smile appeared in his dark eyes. Jing Yu was instantly stunned. Why did she feel like she had been sold? She had been sold by herself. When they returned to the Prime Minister's mansion, Jing Yu still had a stomach full of anger. Xiao Chen, that damned old fox. However, when she saw the clothes that Xiao Chen had people prepare for her, Jing Yu curled her lips. At least he still had some conscience. If Jing Yu had to prepare herself, Jing Yu would definitely just wear a random set of clothes. She really didn't have the time to choose this or that. If she had the time, she might as well sleep a little more, right? The Tokyo celebration arrived as scheduled. Early in the morning, Jing Yu was picked up from the bed by Yin Xiao. As she helped Jing Yu put on her clothes, she kept nagging, "Imperial concubine, you have to hurry. The 9th Emperor said that if I don't dress you up beautifully, I'll be dead for sure." Double 12 of the mini theater. Xiao Chen, which flavor do you think is good? Jing Yu lay on the bed in a dilemma as she stared at the screen of her phone and swiped up and down. Xiao Chen lay beside Jing Yu and narrowed his eyes as he looked at Jing Yu's phone. What flavor do you like? Blueberry? Strawberry? Lemon? Milk? Jing Yu looked up at Xiao Chen and asked. Xiao Chen was speechless. Do you want some of each? Jing Yu pouted and asked again. Xiao Chen's face darkened. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Jing Yu. Are you sure you want to choose the flavor when buying condoms? Chapter 367. Imperial Consort, you have to hurry. The 9th Emperor said that if I don't dress you up prettily, this servant will be dead for sure. Shh. Jing Yu closed her eyes and allowed Yin Xiao to do as she pleased, as if she was sleepwalking. Open your eyes, don't open them so wide. Yin Xiao directed Jing Yu and meticulously put on Jing Yu's makeup. Once the rich fragrance was released, it made Jing Yu cough repeatedly. She instantly woke up halfway. She raised her hand to push aside the things Yin Xiao was picking and took the refreshing rouge from the side, saying, "Use this." Oh. Yin Xiao responded with hidden bitterness. She clearly didn't want to use such a fragrant rouge and liked to use this bland one. She really couldn't understand her imperial consort. Those young misses were all thinking of ways to show themselves, but her imperial consort, looking at her, if she said that she didn't need to enter the palace, Yin Xiao didn't doubt that Jing Yu would definitely take off her clothes, hide in the blankets, and continue to sleep without another word. From the moment the sun rose until the sky was completely bright, Jing Yu was in a half-awake state. Only when Yin Xiao said that she was done, did Jing Yu lazily stretch. She didn't even look at herself in the mirror before turning to leave in a daze. Imperial Consort, you're not going to look? Yin Xiao glared. There's nothing to look at. Let's go. Father is waiting. Jing Yu gave an extremely ungraceful yawn. Lifting her skirt, she walked out the door. Yin Xiao held her forehead and followed. What kind of master did she have? The Prime Minister Fu's carriage swayed as it headed towards the Imperial Palace. Jing Yu hung her head and continued to sleep the moment she got on the carriage. She instructed Yin Xiao to call her when they arrived, and then there was no more. How many times had Jing Yu entered the Imperial Palace? She had almost forgotten. Looking at the majestic palace gates in front of her, Jing Yu sighed for the nth time. Why did she have to enter the palace every time? It was simply annoying. When the celebration started, everyone found their seats to enter. This magnificent palace was incomparably breathtaking. Jing Yu looked at this palace and thought of the imperial palace she saw in modern Beijing's Tiananmen Square in her previous life. Back then, she didn't have this feeling. Now that there were so many ancient people walking around and looking at this building, she suddenly had a feeling that it was out of place. Jing Yu! A surprised cry sounded. Jing Yu turned her head to look. Lanlan, you're here too. Jing Yu looked at Shangguan Linglan, who was walking over, and a faint smile appeared in her eyes. Today, Shangguan Linglan was wearing a dark purple palace robe. He had a neutral but very imposing appearance. He strode over to Jing Yu's side. You're finally here. Why are you so late? Shangguan Linglan smiled as he held Jing Yu's arm and spoke warmly. Why isn't Miao Qiu here? Jing Yu suspiciously glanced around and didn't see Lu Miaoqiu's figure. She immediately opened her mouth and asked, "Miaoqiu is a concubine's daughter. She doesn't have the right to come to this kind of banquet unless she has a big backer like Jing Yan," Shangguan Linglan said as he pursed his lips in disdain. He looked to the other side. Jing Yu was slightly stunned when she heard this and also looked over. Sure enough, she saw Jing Yan. So she came with Xiao Jingran. Jing Yu looked at Jing Yan, who was standing beside Xiao Jingran. Her eyes flickered slightly. This Jing Yan was really good. She could really make Xiao Jingran bring her to this banquet. Jing Yu and Shangguan Linglan talked for a while. Suddenly, the announcement of the arrival of the Emperor and Empress was heard. Everyone retreated to both sides and knelt down to shout, "Long live the Emperor." Jing Yu curtsied and lowered her head. Did you see? Pairs of feet were walking towards the dragon throne. Only when she heard the call to rise did she slowly straighten up. Chapter 368. Xiao Yi was wearing a bright yellow dragon robe as he sat on the main seat. Empress Fei Yezhu sat beside him, and on the other side was Fu Ruoqing, Consort Qing. Although Fu Ruoqing's rank had been demoted, she was still favored by the emperor. She might even be promoted back at any time. The emperor would naturally bring Fu Ruoqing to such an important banquet. After that, the 9th imperial uncle, Xiao Chen, and the crown prince came in hand. Everyone was finally gathered in one place. Jing Yu followed Jing Zhan and took their seats one by one. When everyone was seated, the surroundings gradually quieted down. Xiao Yi waved his hand slightly. The eunuch at the door bowed and saluted. He straightened up and loudly announced, "Summon the envoys of the various countries." Jing Yu raised her eyes and looked at the door. Two slender figures stepped into the hall. Jing Yu was familiar with these two people. They were the prince and princess of the Nanli kingdom. They were the crown prince, Mu Qinghua, and the little princess, Mu Xiaoye. Looking at their arrogant faces, Jing Yu's mouth twitched. These people were all looking down on others. Weren't they tired? Greetings to the Tokyo Emperor and Empress. Mu Qinghua and Mu Xiaoye bowed and didn't kneel. Quickly rise. Xiao Yi smiled and said, "I didn't expect the crown prince to personally come this time. It must have been hard on you. I've always wanted to see the Tokyo banquet. I'm here to greet your majesty on behalf of Imperial Father." Mu Qinghua smiled faintly and said, "This is a congratulatory gift prepared by Nanli. I hope your majesty will kindly accept it." Mu Qinghua waved his hand and a few burly men behind him carried a large box forward. He pointed at the box and said to Xiao Yi, "This is a gift that this little prince has prepared. I just don't know if the Tokyo will accept it." What kind of gift can the Tokyo not accept? Xiao Yi narrowed his eyes and frowned as he looked at the box with a strange expression. There's no hurry. It won't be too late to see it when the people from the Northern Pastoral and Cebu arrive. Mu Qinghua's lips curled into a cold smile. She bowed slightly to Xiao Yi and led Mu Xiaoye to her seat. Once Mu Xiaoye sat down, her round eyes began to look around as if she was looking for someone. Everyone's heart skipped a beat as they looked at Mu Xiaoye. Finally, they saw Mu Xiaoye's gaze land on Xiao Chen's face. The surprise in her eyes made Xiao Ye's brows jump, but his expression didn't change. The eunuch at the door continued to read. "Hellion Theo?" Jing Yu turned her head and saw a figure walking briskly into the room. This person in a dark green robe was actually Hellion Theo? Jing Yu's eyes widened as she looked at Hellion Xiu, who was slowly walking towards her. His aura was extraordinary. The corners of his lips were pursed slightly, and he wasn't smiling, but he still gave off an extremely breathtaking feeling. Such a handsome man simply made women feel ashamed of their appearance. "Your Majesty Tokyo, I'm back." Hellion Theo raised his eyebrows and bowed politely to Xiao Yi. Welcome. I heard that the 5th prince participated in the power struggle after returning to the Northern Pastoral? Xiao Ye's eyes narrowed dangerously. His words made Xiao Jingran, Mu Qinghua, and the others look at Hellion Theo. The days after returning to the country were too boring, so I found something fun to play with. Hellion Theo replied cleverly. He smiled and said, This is a gift from the Northern Pastoral. Please accept it, Your Majesty. Chapter 369. After saying that, Helian Theo clapped his hands and another huge box was brought up. Everyone's eyes widened slightly as they looked at the box in front of them with a strange expression. Helian Theo looked at everyone's expressions and the corner of his mouth curled up. He raised his hand and gestured for the box to be opened. Everyone craned their necks to look at the open box. A graceful woman slowly stood up. She had a beautiful face and was only wearing a light muslin dress. When the box was opened, it was as if a wisp of fragrance floated past the tip of their noses, causing everyone's eyes to be filled with infatuation. The snake beauty is presented to His Majesty. Helian Theo chuckled and said lightly, "Haha." Xiao Yi laughed dryly. Looking at the beauty, she was really like a snake. Her waist and body were especially seductive. Her whole body was filled with a wild beauty. Everyone was imagining what a woman like her would look like in bed. How ruthless! Jing Yu stared at the coquettish woman who was being led away and silently retracted her gaze. It had to be said that this woman's allure was too great. The moment Jing Yu saw her, she felt her heart tremble. However, to present a beauty to Xiao Yi in front of the Empress, it had to be said that now Fei Yaju and Fu Ruoqing hated Helian Theo. However, Helian Theo didn't feel it at all. He chuckled and sat down in his seat. His eyes swept over and met Jing Yu's gaze. Immediately, the smile in his eyes deepened. Evildoer! Jing Yu rolled her eyes and ignored Helian Theo's smile. Jing Yu had seen the people from Northern Pastoral and Nanli before. However, Jing Yu was really curious about the people from Cebu. What kind of big shot would come from Cebu? Everyone once again turned to look at the entrance of the hall. As the announcement was made, an ink-black figure slowly walked in under everyone's gazes. The man who walked in with steady steps was dressed in an ink-black robe. His expression was cold and threatening, and his exquisite facial features were very handsome. This man walked over as if he was taking a stroll in the courtyard, but everyone could feel a strong murderous aura coming from him. Looking at the man in luxurious clothes in front of them, they felt as if they were looking at a general bathed in blood on the battlefield. He was cold, ruthless, and decisive. The Crown Prince of Cebu, Wei Ling, when Jing Lang saw who it was, his eyes were first filled with surprise, then a dignified expression. He said lightly, "The Crown Prince of Cebu?" Jing Yu was slightly taken aback when she heard this and then looked over. For some reason, when Jing Yu looked at Wei Ling, she suddenly felt as if she saw Xiao Chen's figure in Wei Ling. They were both so cold and indifferent, as if they didn't care about anyone or anything. It was obvious that Wei Ling was such a person. Wei Ling stopped in his tracks. He didn't bow to Xiao Chen first, but slowly looked around before his gaze landed on Xiao Chen. His cold face carried a faint smile, and his sharp gaze was like a sword as he looked at Xiao Chen. "Xiao Chen, long time no see. How have you been?" Wei Ling ignored everyone and greeted Xiao Chen as if he was declaring war. "How have you been?" Xiao Chen and Wei Ling looked at each other for a long time. In the end, Xiao Chen lowered his eyes and said to Wei Ling as if he had won. Suddenly, Wei Ling's face stiffened. He coldly snorted and turned his head, bowing to Xiao Yi with incomparable arrogance. Cebu's gift was the most ordinary, just a long sword. Cebu was famous for their martial arts, and this long sword could be said to be an extraordinary item. Chapter 370. Although Wei Ling was the most rude one, Xiao Yi treated him the best. After all, he didn't give anything. Now that everyone was here, Xiao Yi watched as Wei Ling sat down. Then, he looked at the box beside the Nanli King's seat and frowned. "Crown Prince Mu, now that everyone is here, why don't you let everyone see your gift?" Xiao Yi curled his lips slightly and said with an amiable smile. "Haha." Mu Qinghua stood up and said, "Your Majesty, this is a treasure that I dug up from a tomb in Nanli. It's an intact chessboard. Let's call it a chessboard for now." "Chessboard?" Xiao Yi frowned. Everyone started whispering to each other. "This chessboard isn't the same chessboard." Mu Qinghua smiled and said, "Everyone will know once you see it." Mu Qinghua raised her hand and waved. The two of them slowly opened the box. They directly removed the 5 sides, leaving only the base. The thing inside was also revealed. It was something like a stone table. There was indeed a chessboard on it, but it didn't look like a chessboard. What is this thing? The officials who were closer to it stood up and looked at the strange symbols on it. They had never seen these symbols before. This was a chessboard? This game is called the 9 Palaces Grid. Mu Qinghua said, the owner of the tomb carved his name on it. However, I couldn't find a way to solve this chessboard after checking all the historical records. I heard that there are many talented people in Nanli. I wonder if your majesty can invite someone to solve this chessboard? Huh? Isn't it just a game of chess? Who wants to try? Xiao Ye's expression was slightly strange, but he didn't show it on his face. Instead, he smiled happily. Your Majesty, there's no need to rush. I'll give your Majesty 3 days to solve this chessboard. If you can't solve it in 3 days, then it seems that I overestimated the Nanli Kingdom. The Nanli Kingdom is the leader of the 4 kingdoms. Mu Qinghua smiled faintly. After she finished speaking, she turned around and returned to her seat, ignoring everyone's expression. Crown Prince Mu, let's leave these words for 3 days later. Xiao Jingran sneered and said, it's just a broken chess game. Why can't it be broken? Since Second Prince has said so, why don't we go up and give it a try? Mu Qinghua said. Everyone turned to look at Xiao Jingran. Let's give it a try. Xiao Jingran narrowed his eyes and strode forward. He looked at the chessboard in front of him and his expression changed. He didn't know what the symbols were and he couldn't recognize them at all. Furthermore, there were some symbols around the chessboard that looked like bean sprouts. He couldn't understand them at all. How could they know how to break this? Xiao Jingran stretched out his hand to test it. The protruding thing could be pushed. He tried to push it left and right, but there was no reaction. This is a mechanism. Only by solving the chessboard can you get what's inside. Nanli, wanted to chisel the rock open, but I found that the rock doesn't fear swords. I can't pry it open at all. So, Second Prince, you should figure out how to move the chessboard properly. Mu Qinghua laughed mockingly. Xiao Jingran's face turned red. This chessboard is very exquisite. This prince needs to go back and study it carefully before I can decipher it. Xiao Jingran tried for a long time but to no avail. He had no choice but to casually say something and slink back to his seat. Feeling the mocking gazes directed at him, Xiao Jingran's face instantly turned ashen with anger. Chapter 371. Crown Prince Mu, this little girl wants to give it a try. Is it possible? Jing Yan saw Xiao Jingran's expression and hesitated for a moment before standing up. She bowed slightly to Mu Qinghua and asked with a faint smile. Who are you? Mu Qinghua was slightly taken aback and said mockingly, even the Second Prince couldn't decipher it. Do you think you're better than the Second Prince? That you have the ability to decipher this game? Jing Yan's expression changed slightly but immediately recovered. She smiled faintly and said, since Crown Prince Mu wants the Tokyo to decipher it, then there shouldn't be a difference between men and women, right? Besides, this little girl just wants to give it a try and see how exquisite this game is. If you want to give it a try, then go ahead. Mu Qinghua smiled disdainfully. He clearly didn't think highly of Jing Yan. As expected, when Jing Yan stood in front of the chessboard, she immediately fainted. What kind of game was this? The scribbles on the chess pieces were indecipherable. Jing Yan was defeated with a red face. After that, people came forward one after another. There were men and women, old and young, but no one could decipher the game. Xiao Yi, who was sitting on the high seat, looked worse and worse. Even Xiao Qin, who was sitting below, frowned. On the other hand, Helian Xiu and Wei Ling were just watching the show. Their faint smiles made Xiao Ye's expression turn even uglier. He was being treated as a joke by others. Your Majesty, it seems that no one in your Tokyo can decipher this game. Let's wait 3 days and see if we can find a way to decipher it. Mu Qinghua smiled faintly and said disdainfully. This. Everyone started whispering to each other when they heard this. Their expressions were very ugly. Isn't it just a game? Even our Tokyo children can decipher it. At this moment, a clear voice suddenly sounded in the hall. Everyone turned to look at the source of the voice. At the table, Jingyu was wearing a dark red robe. The person who spoke was Jingyu. It's you? Mu Qinghua looked up and recognized Jingyu at a glance. It's me. Jingyu supported herself with her hands and stood up. When Jing Zhan and Jing Lang saw Jingyu's actions, they immediately revealed worried expressions. Jingyu lowered her eyes and smiled faintly. She looked very calm as she stepped into the banquet. Immediately, everyone's gaze fell on Jingyu. Did you just say that even a child can crack this game? Mu Qinghua's face was a little surprised. Then, it was full of mockery and disbelief. She stared at Jingyu and asked, "That's right. This kind of game is just a child's toy in my Tokyo eyes." Jingyu smiled proudly and stood in front of everyone. "Ha! Shameless." Mu Qinghua laughed out loud and said, "Ignorant woman, how dare you say that you can let a child break it? Whether it can be broken or not, we'll see in 3 days." Jingyu smiled faintly. She turned to look at Xiao Yi and said, "Your Majesty, please allow me to make a bet with Crown Prince Mu. 3 days later, I'll ask a child to break this game." "Jingyu, are you confident?" Xiao Ye's expression slowly turned serious. This was a matter that concerned the Tokyo's face. He couldn't be careless. "If you're really shameless. Even the scholars are helpless. You actually want to ask a child to break it?" Jing Yan looked at Jingyu, who was the center of attention, and a strange thought rose in her heart. She pursed her lips in disdain. Chapter 372. Shut up. Jingyu looked at him indifferently. Before she could say anything, Xiao Jingran, who was beside her, had already reprimanded him. Now, they were facing an external enemy together. No matter what the situation was, they could not say such things. When these words came out, Dongqing's aura lost a little. Even the people of Dongqing did not think highly of him, and he still dared to say such things. Clearly, Mu Qinghua was thinking this way. Jingyu looked at Jing Yan as if she was looking at a prostitute. She then turned to Xiao Yi and said, "If your Majesty trusts this subject's daughter, then give the decree." Xiao Yi hesitated for a moment. Fei Yaju's heart trembled slightly. She whispered a few words into Xiao Ye's ear. Then, Xiao Yi slowly nodded in agreement to Jingyu's words. Mu Qinghua saw this and the smile in her eyes deepened. She laughed loudly and said, "Since that's the case, then we'll see in 3 days how you're going to get a child to solve the game." "What if I solve it? So what?" Jingyu smiled and looked at Mu Qinghua. "What?" Mu Qinghua was slightly stunned and asked in confusion. "What? There's no reward for solving the game?" Jingyu blinked in confusion and said, "If there's no reward, then why do we have to solve the game? In any case, it's a congratulatory gift for the emperor. If we don't solve it, then it's the same. Is that not okay? Since it's a gift, then it's naturally the Tokyo's." As soon as Jingyu said this, everyone's expressions immediately became interesting. Although what she said was true, everyone knew that Nanli State was trying to make things difficult for Dongqing. They didn't expect that after Jingyu's words, it would be so blatantly pointed out. Not only was Mu Qinghua dumbfounded, even Xiao Yi was dumbfounded. This. Mu Qinghua's face turned ugly. Since Jingyu said so, the situation of solving the chess game suddenly changed. It was like a gambling game. If someone else said this, Mu Qinghua would have 100 excuses to refute it. However, the person who said this was Jingyu. Mu Qinghua didn't know what to say. She was the daughter of an official of Dongqing, a 15-year-old girl, yet she spoke as if she didn't know anything. How could Mu Qinghua refute this? She could only sulk and think about the reward. Since it's a grand ceremony with the 4 countries as witnesses, the reward shouldn't be low, right? Jingyu's words made Mu Qinghua's face turn even uglier. Xiao Yi, who was sitting on the high seat, almost laughed out loud. This was the first time he felt that Jingyu was so pleasing to the eye. They were members of the Tokyo imperial family, so they had to be careful with their words. They weren't like Jingyu, who relied on the fact that she was a woman and didn't know anything. At most, she would be reprimanded for her lack of etiquette. I heard that Nanli opened up a sea route not long ago. If Crown Prince Mu can use this sea route as a bet, then our Tokyo might be able to solve this game. Jingyu grinned and said. Mu Qinghua's eyes widened. You actually want Nanli's sea territory? Mu Qinghua stared at Jingyu in disbelief. Crown Prince Mu, you're wrong. How could I want it? We're just placing a bet. Why would I want it? It's not like I can eat it. Jingyu grinned and turned to look at Xiao Yi. Your Majesty should also place a bet. We can't let Nanli look down on us. This. Xiao Ye's heart skipped a beat. He looked at Jingyu and couldn't tell what Jingyu was planning. What if she lost? Chapter 373. Rest assured, Your Majesty. Jingyu saw Xiao Ye's cautiousness and thought to herself, how useless. Isn't it just placing a bet? If Tokyo loses, I will also lose my head to Crown Prince Mu. Jingyu said nonchalantly. When Jingyu finished speaking, everyone's eyes widened. Even Xiao Chen, who had been quietly watching, had his expression turn gloomy. Anger flashed in his eyes. Wei Ling had been paying attention to Xiao Chen. When he saw the change in Xiao Chen, his heart skipped a beat. He looked at Xiao Chen and Jingyu suspiciously. Meanwhile, Shangguan Linglan, Jingyu, and the others looked at Jingyu anxiously. Their faces were full of worry. Jing Yan was surprised at first, but then her eyes flashed with joy. If she could use this opportunity to get rid of Jingyu, wouldn't that be perfect? Helian Xiao and Xiao Jingran were both shocked for a moment. Then, they looked at the person standing in the middle with a complicated expression. Her dark eyes were filled with confidence. They did not know why, but they suddenly felt that what Jingyu said was true. She could really make the child solve this Go game in 3 days. Good. When Xiao Yi heard Jingyu's words, he immediately slapped the table and said, if Tokyo doesn't solve the game, then the 2 cities in the south of Nanli will be ceded to you. Are you satisfied with this bet? Since Your Majesty has no objections, then this humble prince is naturally willing to accept. Mu Qinghua heard Xiao Ye's words and his eyes lit up. He laughed loudly and agreed. This was a huge bet between 2 countries. The person who pushed for this bet was the petite Jingyu standing in the middle of the hall. From start to finish, Jingyu had a nonchalant attitude. It was as if this was nothing in her eyes. In fact, it really wasn't much. When Jingyu heard the words 9 palaces grid, she knew what it was. After that, Jingyu came to the center of the hall and looked at the things on the round table. She felt endless disdain in her heart. This was completely a modern game of numbers. This number was written in characters like 1234. Instead of the ancient 1, 2, 3, 4, so they couldn't understand it at all. The bean sprout-like thing next to the 9-square grid was written in modern English. It explained how to play the 9-square grid. The 3 numbers added up to 15. When all the numbers were added up, it would be broken. In the eyes of the ancient people, this was simply fate, but in Jingyu's eyes, it was like a children's book. Therefore, Jingyu did not feel any pressure at all. It was no wonder that she had such an indifferent attitude. She really couldn't be blamed. She was a modern secret agent. She really couldn't afford to treat this kind of mentally retarded game seriously. The banquet ended in a seemingly relaxed atmosphere. Jingyu's name was well known by everyone. When the banquet was about to end, Jingyu finally filled her stomach. During this banquet, everyone was consciously or unconsciously looking at Jingyu. However, Jingyu didn't care at all as she gorged herself on the food. Xiao Yi couldn't stand it anymore. He could only find topics to talk about to attract everyone's attention. This was probably the most helpless banquet the emperor had ever attended. However, after thinking about it, he felt that it was inexplicably interesting. Jing Lang looked at Jingyu, who was finally full, and stared at Jingyu with black lines on his forehead. Jing Lang and Jing Zhan finally experienced what it meant to be sitting on pins and needles. Looking at those gazes, they really didn't know how Jingyu could ignore them. Jingyu was slightly stunned when she heard this. Then, she looked at Jing Lang and Jing Zhan in confusion. Chapter 374. What's wrong? Why aren't you guys eating? Jing Yu asked in a daze, and Jing Lang and Jing Zhan both fainted at once. Ahem, the banquet is over. Let's go back. Jing Zhan coughed. Seeing the emperor leave, he couldn't stay any longer and hurriedly said, "Oh, it's over." Jing Yu stood up and elegantly wiped her mouth. "I'm leaving with Xiao Qin." Jing Zhan and Jing Lang looked at each other. Then, they looked at Jing Yu and asked, "You're leaving with the 9th emperors? To the Wang mansion?" Jing Yu nodded and said, "I'm going to stay at the Wang mansion for half a month before going home. You guys can go first." Jing Lang and Jing Zhan looked at each other. They seemed to be conflicted. Then, they looked at Jing Yu and said, "Since you've decided, then go." Jing Yu nodded. She didn't notice the strangeness in their words. Jing Lang and Jing Zhan both left. Jing Yu looked at each other in confusion. Wasn't it just staying at the Wang mansion for a few days? What was the big deal? However, when Jing Yu found out what this action meant, she almost strangled Xiao Qin to death. She had actually become the future concubine of the 9th emperors in such a muddle-headed manner. Furthermore, she had done it so openly and confusedly in front of all the officials and the royal families of the 4 countries. Xiao Qin. Jing Yu walked briskly to Xiao Qian's side. Everyone looked over. When they saw Jing Yu walk to Xiao Qian's side, they all had strange expressions. Jing Yu being the 9th imperial concubine wasn't anything new. However, these two had never shown anything special in such a big occasion. Therefore, everyone was very curious. How exactly did these two interact? "You still know how to come here?" Xiao Qian's face was very ugly, and he questioned him as soon as he opened his mouth. Suddenly, everyone had a strange look in their eyes. Why did it seem like the 9th emperors hated Jing Yu? Look at that expression. I forgot to eat." Jing Yu pouted and sat down beside Xiao Qin without waiting for him to say anything. She picked up the wine glass on Xiao Qian's table and smelled it. "Why is your wine different from mine?" Jing Yu carefully took a sip. "I brought it myself." Xiao Qin looked at Jing Yu's actions and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Did Jing Yu's actions just now count as an indirect kiss? "You actually brought your own wine to a banquet?" Jing Yu's eyes widened and she laughed hysterically. Xiao Qian's face turned ugly and he said unhappily, "Is it very funny?" Cough, cough, cough. Jing Yu waved her hands and said, "It's not funny. It's not funny." Everyone's eyes widened when they saw the two laughing and fooling around. Didn't the legends say that the 9th emperor was cold? Was he serious in speech and manner? Although this seemed to be the case, why did they feel that Jing Yu was being so presumptuous, but the 9th emperor didn't seem to be angry at all? Instead, he seemed to be pampering her. Could it be that they were seeing things? "I'm tired from playing. I'm going home." "What are you still doing here?" Jing Yu tugged at Xiao Qian's sleeve and said, "Okay, let's go home." Xiao Qian raised his eyebrows and stood up. "Oh yeah." Jing Yu cheered and stood up. Xiao Qian casually bid farewell to everyone and held Jing Yu's hand as they walked out of the hall, leaving everyone behind in deep thought. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.